Chapter 1681. To be honest, Wang Feng was very shocked by the secrets Shiyu revealed. Because Wang Feng could sense some of them, but he didn't connect them to Shiyu at all. Why are you telling me these secrets? Wang Feng hesitated for a moment before asking, is it just to test me? In fact, these secrets were considered private matters for Shiyu, and they were hidden very well. Even if he had traveled through the river of time, it would be difficult for him to know so clearly. Shiyu didn't need to tell him these things just to test him. I have watched you grow up. Shiyu said indifferently, I know you very well, but you don't know me well enough. Since we are going to cultivate the origin of the soul, it is better for both sides to understand each other more thoroughly. Wang Feng nodded. He could understand Shiyu's reason. However, the relationship between Shiyu and Qianrenxue was something Wang Feng didn't expect. Ancestor, let's begin. Shiyu closed her eyes, don't delay. When you cultivate the origin of yin and yang, I will pass on the will of the heavenly embryo to you and help you condense a physical body. Wang Feng nodded. This time, the process of cultivating the origin of yin and yang was very smooth. It was much smoother than Yanqingjue. Just as Shiyu said, both sides understood this very well, and there were no more secrets. In addition, Wang Feng had the experience of cultivating with Yanqingjue, so he drove Shiyu's soul to cultivate. The two were as calm as still water, and there was no contact between their souls. The power of the soul could produce the origin of yin and yang, and then cultivate the yin and yang souls. And the speed of cultivation was very fast, so fast that Wang Feng was surprised. Speaking of which, I have always been very curious. In the middle of cultivation, Shiyu's soul suddenly opened her eyes and looked at Wang Feng. Curious about what? The sudden question inexplicably gave Wang Feng a premonition that he didn't want to hear. Sure enough, he heard Shiyu ask, you have countless women in the Douluo world. I am very curious, which one do you like the most? Shiyu asked. Wang Feng. See, this is the kind of question. With Wang Feng's experience as a scumbag, he knew that he must not answer casually at this time. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would have been wasted. This Shiyu didn't ask before or after, but she just had to ask now. If she didn't have any ulterior motives, Wang Feng wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. After pondering for a moment, Wang Feng said, that depends on whether you're asking about the Wang Feng of the past or the current Wang Feng. Shiyu was slightly taken aback. What's the difference? Back then, Wang Feng was an inexperienced man. Nature loves him more, said Wang Feng. Oh, what about now? Shiyu sneered. Perhaps this answer was somewhat familiar to her. The current Wang Feng. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. After experiencing the world, it's only natural that he likes whoever is prettier. What a shameless statement, Shiyu said disdainfully. You've become even worse after experiencing so much. That's not true. Wang Feng shook his head and said, the strong are poor. However, her beauty was boundless. And in my heart they are all becoming more beautiful. That's rather interesting. Shiyu thought for a moment. Although your answer is rather perfunctory, Shiyu suddenly looked at Wang Feng and smiled. I didn't realize that you had such deep feelings for me. Wang Feng didn't seem to understand. What do you mean? Wang Feng, do you take me for a fool? Shiyu said indifferently. This body of mine was formed by the will of the heavenly embryo. To put it bluntly, in terms of beauty, I'm more beautiful than anyone in your heart. You're only saying this for me to hear. You men's mouths can't be trusted at all. Wang Feng didn't say anything. Then you're asking me this question because you want to get an answer about yourself, right? Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh. Otherwise, why didn't you ask earlier or later? Why did you have to ask at a crucial moment in cultivation? If I didn't say something nice for you to hear, your soul would be shaken and you wouldn't be able to cultivate anymore. You women also don't mean what you say. You say that men aren't good, but aren't you enjoying it in your heart? You. Shiyu was speechless. She seemed a little angry and embarrassed. I know I can't win against you. Wang Feng had a reason for saying that. Because he found that after he said that, their souls were more compatible. See, that answer was obviously secretly poking at Shiyu's heart. So what if it was the heavenly Tao? As long as it was a life and had a physical body, it would definitely have feelings. Even if it was very faint. But as long as it was a little bit, it would be enough. Wang Feng sighed. He was getting more and more familiar with it. This wasn't too good. As he cultivated his origin, his soul slowly became stronger during the initial wheel, but Wang Fengxin's thoughts gradually drifted away. After an unknown period of time. Start forming your physical body. Shiyu muttered. I'll give you a portion of the will of the heavenly embryo to assist you in forming your physical body. Assist? Wang Feng thought for a moment. Why don't I do it myself? You do it yourself? The will of the heavenly embryo is a kind of will of the universe. Although it's not very strong, you won't be able to comprehend it completely in a short time. I know you have a special primordial origin, but with your current soul power, you can't use it to analyze the will of the universe. Without my guidance, it'll be very difficult for you to use the power of the will of the heavenly embryo. Shiyu glanced at Wang Feng. Then can I make a request? Wang Feng asked. For your physical body? What request? Wang Feng transmitted a few words to Shiyu. You! Shiyu was startled at first, then her tone became a little uncertain. You're already at this level, but you're still thinking about those things. I'm just speaking according to my original body. Do you have to be so agitated? What do you mean I'm thinking about those things? What things am I thinking about? Wang Feng was speechless. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Shiyu snorted coldly. She didn't reject Wang Feng's request. The will of the heavenly embryo was very interesting. It was a kind of method similar to building one's body in the primordial chaos, waiting for the primordial chaos to break open and form a physical body. Inside the will of the heavenly embryo, countless amounts of energy would enter through the primordial chaos, be gradually formed by the physical body, and finally be born. With this kind of will, forming a physical body was as simple as eating and drinking. Of course, a physical body formed in this way would be equally powerful, but it wouldn't have any powerful special abilities. But no matter what, it could be considered as having a medium to use the origin power in the real world, and it was also the prerequisite to being able to form the true soul of Panguak. After an unknown period of time, along with a slight sound of something breaking open, there was a boundless sound. Above the sea of reincarnation, the surging seawater boiled. On the surface of the sea, the endless river of time bloomed with billions of rays of light. Not long after, two figures flew out from it, a man and a woman. The woman's appearance was peerless, and the man was extremely handsome, not inferior to the woman at all. However, he didn't wear any clothes, so he landed on the surface of the sea in a somewhat sorry state. As soon as he landed on the surface of the sea, the man waved his hand, and the river of time suddenly condensed a mountain and river-black robe, covering the man's body. Chapter 1682. Why didn't you condense a set of clothes after condensing your fleshly body? The man smirked at the woman. I forgot. The woman turned her head and said indifferently. Wang Feng shook his head helplessly. The fleshly body was condensed. The woman stood on the surface of the sea, but she seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Wang Feng hurried over and supported Shiyu's shoulder. Didn't you say that half of the heavenly embryo's willpower would only delay your time to become a universe-level life form? Why does it look like it consumed a lot? Shiyu didn't say anything and allowed Wang Feng to support her. After a while, she left and walked in front of Wang Feng. She pointed at the black fog in front of them. You should think about how to deal with emotience in the God world. Wang Feng took a glance and closed his eyes in deep thought. He seemed to have thought of something. Also, Mo Tiance has appeared in Douluo world. Shiyu reminded him. However, Wang Feng laughed instead. Isn't that great? Wang Feng laughed. Mo Tiance didn't descend with his true body, but his consciousness. Now, he even split his consciousness into 3. I don't even need to use 3 souls as one to kill him. With that, a light appeared in Wang Feng's hand. It was Pangu Axe. Change! Wang Feng shouted in a clear voice. In an instant, Pangu Axe's light changed. The back of the axe turned into a chaos bell and flew towards the endless void. The blade of the axe also changed quietly and turned into 4 rays of ruthless light that rushed towards the God world. Go! Wang Feng followed the 4 rays of light and flew towards the God world. His eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Mo Tiance, although your true body isn't here, I'll definitely make you fall from universe-level life form. Let's see the power of the immortal exterminating 4 swords. At the same time, God world, the sky cracked as if a huge piece of glass had been blasted apart. Mo Tiance stood above King City and looked down. Below, Tang San bent his body and stabbed the Azura demon's sword into the ground. He was barely holding on. He panted heavily as God blood gushed out from all parts of his body. On the other side, a huge silver dragon laid on the cracked ground far away. Not even 10 moves. An ant will always be an ant. Mo Tiance shook his head. Even if it was just a consciousness, the huge difference in life form couldn't be covered with numbers. The difference was too great. Tang San's eyes were a little defeated, but there was also a little unwillingness in them. He sensed an even more powerful force. That kind of suppression was too exaggerated. It was a power that surpassed the origin. Previously, he could vaguely touch it, but now he realized that it was too far away. In fact, Mo Tiance was just a consciousness clone. The galaxy hovering above his head was also like a mirage, and it emitted a power that was enough to suppress the billions of lives in the God realm. Even though he was a divine king, he couldn't break free from it. Even if he teamed up with the Silver Dragon, he would only be able to exchange 10 moves with Mo Tiange. 10 moves was already a lot. However, for Tang San, it was somewhat unacceptable. One had to know that he was no longer the same person he was when he fought against the Yama Master. Right now, he was gathering the power of all the gods in the God realm. He was in his best condition and at his strongest. They could only survive 10 moves if they joined hands. If Mo Tiance's true body were to descend, the divine world would probably collapse in an instant. How could they still have the chance to exchange blows? He closed his eyes. Was this the power of the pinnacle of the universe, which was above the deity world? Not in the God realm. It seems like you guys have made the people related to Wang Feng leave first. Mo Tiange swept a glance, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through the universe. He turned to the Silver Dragon. However, you and Tang San have a special relationship with Wang Feng. The karma between the two of you isn't small. Fine, it's just right to capture you back. As he spoke, he was about to make a move. Just then, a ray of blood light burst out from the Faith Temple, and an extremely arrogant voice was heard. Stop right there. Without my Long Xie's permission, how can a piece of trash like you touch my boss's woman and brother? As soon as he finished speaking, the Faith Temple, which was on the verge of breaking apart, suddenly burst out a dragon shadow. It was like clouds and mist, and eventually turned into a blood-colored human figure. He was wearing a blood-colored armor that was filled with all kinds of hideous ghost faces. At first glance, he looked extremely terrifying. Where did this reptile come from? Mo Tiange frowned slightly and sized him up. He seemed to have realized something. So, it's half a universe evil thought. No wonder you're so arrogant. Unfortunately, if you were a complete universe evil thought and condensed the heavenly evil will of the 1,000 evil dragon clan, this consciousness clone wouldn't be your match. However, you're nowhere close to the 1,000 evil dragon clan, let alone half a universe evil thought. Then, Mo Tiange waved his hand lightly. In an instant, the illusory Milky Way started flowing. Boundless willpower pressed down. Long Xie grunted. The boundless evil aura made him look like an evil god. His aura was even stronger than Tang San's. However, Mo Tiange wasn't someone to be trifled with. Naturally, he couldn't resist the unreasonable willpower that surpassed his realm. The armor on his body cracked inch by inch. Long Xie was extremely pissed. He didn't know who this bastard was. It wasn't easy for him to cultivate in the Forbidden Region Divine Wall. He sensed something outside and wanted to come out to show off his skills. However, he didn't expect to encounter such a powerful guy. Brother Ice Qilin, if you don't come out now, I won't be able to hold on any longer. Explode. Long Xie roared furiously. Clenching his fists, he stared at the pressure and charged up. Coming. At the same time, a deep voice sounded. Similarly, a dazzling icy light suddenly appeared from the Forbidden Region Divine Wall. What the Silver Dragon didn't know was that when Long Xie entered the Forbidden Region Divine Wall to cultivate, there was another person who entered as well. The difference was that Long Xie went in to absorb. Qilin Lord Ice Qilin went in to cultivate to temper himself. While the boundless evil thoughts were growing, he sealed himself in ice and suffered from the impact of the evil thoughts constantly. This made him stronger and his soul sublimated. It drove his strength to a higher level. Of course, it might not be as good as Long Xie, who directly absorbed the evil thoughts, but it wasn't much worse. Along with the icy mystic light, the powerful origin energy and Long Xie's evil thoughts converged into two terrifying origin energy light pillars that attacked Mo Tiange. Mo Tiange frowned slightly. He didn't expect to get rid of Tang San and the Silver Dragon. There were still two of them in the divine world. That Wang Feng wasn't bad. Feudal struggle. Mo Tiange's gaze was indifferent as he pointed his finger. He casually pulled out several origin energies from the Star River intent and turned them into streams of light to collide with it. The intense light covered the entire sky of the divine world. After a long time, it slowly returned to normal. F***CK, Brother Ice Qilin, this bastard is too strong. Long Xie had turned into a ball of pure blood red light with a flickering dragon shadow. I was beaten back to my original form. Brother, you don't seem to be any better than me. Qilin Lord Ice Qilin. He probably didn't expect to encounter such a powerful enemy as soon as he came out. He could only remain silent. Is there anyone in the divine world who can still struggle? Mo Tiange glanced around and shook his head lightly. Seems like there isn't, right at this moment. 4 streaks of light suddenly descended from the sky with boundless aura. They landed in 4 different directions and emitted boundless ferocious aura. The sky cracked open and golden light descended. A calm voice accompanied a figure that descended from the golden light. Is that so? Chapter 1683. A calm voice sounded like a clap of thunder. That figure descended under the golden light like a deity descending to the mortal world. F***CK boss. The dragon shadow in the bloody light said angrily, I knew that boss would come. The person who came was naturally Wang Feng. Not too late. Just in time. Big Brother Feng? He came at this time. Tang San was equally shocked, but he was more worried. Previously, Big Brother Feng barely escaped by self-detonating in the dark devil world. Now that he was facing Mo Tiange again, he didn't know, with Big Brother Feng's character, he wouldn't appear if he wasn't certain of winning. Could it be Tang San looked at the 4 strange lights around him? Those are 4 swords? Tang San's mind shook. He felt that this world was completely split by the aura of the 4 swords, forming a unique space. Especially when he was restrained by the 4 swords, he felt an extreme aura of death. It was as if the 4 swords had killed countless deities and Buddhas. What weapon is that? immortal exterminating 4 swords. The Pangu axe was formed by the blade and contained extreme killing aura. It was truly the best prehistoric treasure to kill deities and demons. Because Emotiant's consciousness was still in the Douluo world, Wang Feng naturally couldn't only use the Pangu axe here. After cultivating the yin-yang intersection origin with Yen Qingjue, the Pangu axe true soul's recovery had reached 70%. The back of the axe had turned into the chaos bell, and the blade could turn into the immortal exterminating 4 sword. After cultivating the yin-yang intersection origin with Shi Yu, the Pangu axe true soul's recovery had reached more than 90%. With the divine might of the Pangu axe true soul, the immortal exterminating 4 swords had reached an extremely terrifying level. Ha ha! Wang Feng, I didn't expect you to have the guts to come out. Emotiants looked at the figure in midair. I'm very curious. The creation devil source isn't at ease and allowed you to cultivate in the soul domain to recuperate. Why would it let you out? Could it be that you've already broken the remaining shackles? As he spoke, he looked at the 4 swords with a strange gaze. Otherwise? Wang Feng looked at him calmly. I've already broken the remaining shackles. Oh! Emotiants was slightly taken aback before he sneered. Impossible. You self-destructed your body, and your soul spirit is extremely weak after entering the soul world. Don't even talk about breaking those shackles in such a short time. You can't even touch it. However, looking at your current aura, your body can still be reforged, and your soul is not weak either. You must have had a fortuitous encounter in the soul world, right? Unfortunately, Yen Qingjue is only a demonic source of creation. The fortuitous encounters she can give you are limited. As soon as he finished speaking, Emotiants suddenly attacked. Without any warning. With a raise of his hand, the illusory galaxy was like a waterfall that swept across the starry sky, sweeping towards Wang Feng. Boundless will press down, enough to annihilate the divine soul of a god king. He was much stronger than before. However, when the boundless galaxy touched Wang Feng's body, the sky distorted. Wang Feng's figure was still far away, but there was no change. Emotiant's galaxy willpower was completely ineffective. Emotiants frowned slightly. You have the aura of God World's Heaven Tao on you. That's not right. Even the heavenly Tao of the God realm cannot avoid the will of the universe. His expression turned solemn. Something wasn't right. He might only be a consciousness clone, and the galaxy willpower wasn't complete, but as long as he executed it, any life form below the universe level wouldn't be unharmed. His opponent might have changed a lot, but he didn't become a universe-level life form. Why was that so? At this moment, Emotiants had many questions in his mind. Suddenly, a thought flashed across his mind. It's time. You escaped into the God World's time. Emotiants' expression turned gloomy. Time doesn't exist in the universe. Unless I condense the complete galaxy willpower, your soul has fused with the God World, but it's impossible for you to survive in the long river of time. You will definitely be implicated by the universe's karma and die by it. But I didn't die. Wang Feng smiled. I am invincible in the God World now. Emotiants' expression began to change. In a sense, it was indeed so. However, why was that so? Time didn't give him much time to think. Kill. Wang Feng uttered a word softly. The next moment, the 4 immortal extermination swords that locked onto Emotiants from 4 directions turned into a stream of light, slicing the sky into pieces and attacking Emotiants. Trying to escape? Wang Feng could roughly tell that Emotiants was making a move. However, as a universe-level life form, his premonition was too strong. You won't be able to escape. Wang Feng pointed to the sky. In an instant, time and space stopped. Everything in the God World seemed to have fallen into dead silence. The long river of time was reversing at this moment. It was retreating. A mere world's time, and you want to trap this deity? Emo Tiance was greatly shocked. He wasn't completely afraid of the four swords, but he was afraid that Wang Feng had already fused with the God world. It was as though he was in Wang Feng's territory, and Wang Feng could mobilize all the forces in the God world. However, he couldn't. He could only forcefully break into the God world. However, if that was the case, rumble! A muffled ancient sound rang out in the divine realm. It was as if something had been broken. A universe-level life form's consciousness was completely capable of destroying the God world. However, that would require time as well. As long as Emo Tiance dared to make a move and didn't focus on escaping, he would lose. Seeing this, Wang Feng smiled faintly. When he appeared, he knew that Emo Tiance wouldn't be able to escape, because it was a dead end. As expected, when Emo Tiance said that, he was stunned. He had thought it through. Escaping meant death. Attacking meant death. In a battle of this level, victory and defeat would be decided in an instant. In other worlds, this instant could be tens of thousands of years. Sword light overflowed. They pierced into Emo Tiance's body from 4 different directions. The 4 extremely ferocious swords let out endless sword cries. The swords began to emit destructive rays, as though they were absorbing the energy from Emo Tiance's body. Wang Feng remained standing at the same spot, looking at the latter. All of a sudden, he trembled. How could you still appear in that world? He let out a low voice as though he was talking in his sleep. You are a remnant of that world? I see. I was wondering why this plaything looked so familiar. Ha ha. Gradually, Emo Tiance disappeared. Most of the majestic energy was absorbed into the 4 immortal exterminating sword. Wang Feng's expression was calm, as though he had already expected it. Everything was so casual, as though it wasn't a decisive battle at all. This guy. In the Sea of Reincarnation, Shiyu saw this scene and pursed her lip. Actually, Wang Feng didn't win easily. Emo Tiance used the universe's consciousness to suppress him. Although Wang Feng escaped into time, he didn't want to harm the foundation of the God world. He still bore a portion of the majority of the consciousness. His physical body was almost instantly shattered and reassembled. However, in the river of time, Wang Feng erased this scene. Hence, Emo Tiance couldn't see it. He could only see Wang Feng at that moment. After all, if the God world was damaged, she would be severely injured as well. Of course, Wang Feng let the God world bear the brunt of it. He wouldn't be harmed at all. End of this chapter. Chapter 1684. He's not bad, right? Beside Shiyu, Yan Qingjue's figure slowly appeared as she spoke leisurely. Hey, you picked him. Do I have a choice? Shiyu's cold eyes swept across. Although I watched this guy grow, he has long exceeded our control. It is indeed extraordinary for him to grow to such a stage. However, if he wants to rebuild the great desolate world, he will face many obstacles. You really want to drag me into this mess? Shiyu looked at Yan Qingjue with burning eyes. What else? Yan Qingjue said seriously. That is Origin Tribulation Divine King's lifelong dream. You have received his favor. It is not bad to help him. Moreover, rebuilding the great desolate heavenly court is immensely beneficial to both of us. I have more or less received the favor. Shiyu said indifferently. Stop trying to bewitch me. Rebuilding the great desolate world is, forget it. He is not Origin Tribulation Divine King after all. This guy is not so competitive. He might not want to rebuild the great desolate world. This is more to my liking. Yan Qingjue shook her head slightly. The divine world does not compete. You do not compete as well. You are the same. Being too Buddha-like is not a good thing. Especially for the current you and him. His time soul of the origin wheel can touch the will of destiny. He has unlimited possibilities, Yan Qingjue said leisurely. Shiyu was silent. Divine world. Wang Feng didn't feel good after dealing with Emo Tiance so easily. When Emo Tiance used the will of the galaxy to suppress him, He used his body to resist for a while in order to temper his new body. How could his body resist the suppression of the will of the universe? Look at little 3 below. He had gathered the power of the gods, but his legs were weak and his waist was numb. He could not even stand properly. Moreover, emotions did not want to kill him. Therefore, he did not use his full strength. However, he would definitely use his full strength against Wang Feng. Therefore, Wang Feng immediately used the time soul of the origin wheel to return to his body after the body was shattered. In that instant, the cycle repeated countless times and the body was shattered countless times. It was rather interesting to use the time soul of the origin wheel in this way. As a result, his body was much stronger than before. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng flew down and reached out to Tang San with a grin. Little 3, you can't do it. You're already a divine king, why can't you exchange a few blows with that guy? Tang San took it and stood up reluctantly. He said, Yeah, Brother Feng, didn't you blow yourself up before? I can barely exchange a few moves with him. Wang Feng. The two of them smiled at each other. It was as if they had returned to the Holy Soul Village. How is it? Wang Feng asked. It's all right. I definitely won't die. However, after seeing such a powerful force, my mind is a little unsettled. Tang San sighed slightly. Wang Feng patted Tang San's shoulder and said, Don't worry, the God realm will become stronger and stronger in the future. It's not impossible for us to surpass emotions. Big Brother Feng, I can understand why you're so confident, but isn't it very difficult to reach the God realm? Tang San asked doubtfully. Wang Feng coughed a few times. The heavenly Tao of your God world has already cultivated the yin-yang intersection origin with me, which is equivalent to the God world and me becoming one. Of course, I can't leave the God world behind. However, it would be troublesome to explain this point, so Wang Feng didn't say it. Oh right, Brother Feng, you're in the God world now. However, that emotions is a consciousness clone. He's also in the Douluo world now. Tang San quickly reminded him. Don't worry. Wang Feng smiled slightly. I'm also in the Douluo world now. Tang San didn't understand, but he understood something. That, Tang San pointed at the silver dragon in the distance and coughed a few times. Wang Feng nodded. He walked over. The silver dragon had already turned into a human form, leaning against a corner of the broken wall of King City. Golden light shone on her body, causing layers of silver light to flicker. However, her eyes were a little tired. She wasn't the silver moon. She was the silver dragon who went to the God world with Wang Feng. She seemed to have sensed Wang Feng's arrival. The silver dragon tilted her head slightly and looked at Wang Feng. Her cold tone was as usual. You're back. Wang Feng was stunned. When he went to the dark demon world, he parted ways with the silver dragon in the void domain. She said that she would cultivate in the God world and wait for him to return. However, Wang Feng changed too much after going to the dark demon world. Even though his current physical body looked exactly the same as before, it was impossible for him to be the Wang Feng who went to the God world with them. Your appearance doesn't seem to have changed much, the silver dragon said again. Did you become more handsome or uglier? Wang Feng walked over and leaned against her side. The silver dragon lowered her head and pondered seriously for a few seconds. Her silvery, blood-stained hair fluttered slightly from her cheeks, adding a hint of poignant beauty to her temperament. No change, the silver dragon said. Wang Feng smiled. How could it not change? The one who didn't change should be the Wang Feng in her heart. That silver moon, what's the matter? Wang Feng chatted with her softly. The silver moon was a little embarrassed. She turned her head slightly, then looked up and said, I couldn't help it. Wang Feng. She couldn't help it, so she forced out her desires and emotions first? Wang Feng's forehead was covered in cold sweat. What about now? Wang Feng asked. Much better. The silver dragon glanced at Wang Feng, because the dragon's scales are on your body. Wang Feng suddenly realized. I will always carry them with me in the future, Wang Feng said. The silver dragon nodded. Suddenly, she leaned her head on Wang Feng's shoulder. I haven't seen Bicky and the others for a long time. They should have cultivated to God world in the Douluo world, right? The silver dragon whispered. Wang Feng just thought of it. There probably weren't many soul beasts in the God world who cultivated to God world. In fact, there was only one silver dragon. Cultivating in the God world, one wouldn't know how lonely it was. At that time, the passage between the God world and the Douluo world hadn't opened yet. I want to go to the Douluo world to see them, the silver dragon said. Well, it's better not to go to the Douluo world for now. Wang Feng opened his mouth. He didn't see Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong in the God world, which meant that Tang San must have asked them to go to the Douluo world to provide support. Wang Feng remembered that before he self-destructed, Bibidon was also in the Douluo world. If he went down now, wouldn't it be a hodgepodge? You are seriously injured now. You should rest well in the God world. After a while, I will go down with you, Wang Feng said seriously. Okay. The silver dragon didn't object. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief. The silver dragon was not a human, and its emotions didn't seem to be as complicated as humans. It seemed that most soul beasts were like this. Thinking of this, a beautiful figure appeared in Wang Feng's mind. Are you here too? The silver dragon asked again, seeming to notice that Wang Feng was absent-minded. Yes. I won't leave for the time being. Then my injury should recover very quickly. Wang Feng's gaze scattered slightly, as if he had traveled through time, through the God world, and with a little trance, he saw the Douluo world. Chapter 1685. In the same timeline. Almost at the same time when Wang Feng's split soul went to the God realm to condense a physical body. Douluo world. The blue sky was filled with colorful lights. Majestic energy would erupt under the clouds from time to time, bursting out with mysterious power. Zhu Zhuqing looked at the sky and frowned slightly. The Douluo world has become much stronger than we imagined, she said to Ning Rongrong and Shui Binger. Yeah, I didn't expect that after the passage was sealed for so long, this world would have such a huge change. Ning Rongrong was silent as she looked at every corner of her sight. They were in the great Star Do forest. This was a place where they had countless memories. I wonder if the God realm is doing well? Shui Bing tilted her head and looked at the two gods who had special positions in the God realm. Why did Sister Xiao Wu send us to Douluo world? Will that Mo Tiance really come? Xiao Wu asked them, Dai Mubai, Oscar, and the others to go to Douluo world together. They were divided into different teams and headed to different locations in Douluo world to make sufficient preparations. The descent of the gods was a huge blow to Douluo world. Although the situation in Douluo world had changed greatly, these ancestors who had left legends on the continent and became gods still had commemorative statues. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong clenched her fists and said fiercely, If he dares to come, I will definitely cut this Mo Tiance into pieces. He actually dared to make Wang Feng self-destruct. Boo-hoo! Stinky guy, why did he go to the dark demon realm for no reason? Is that woman so good? From a fierce look, the more she spoke, the more she cried. He didn't go to the dark demon realm just because of a woman. Zhu Zhuqing patted Ning Rongrong's shoulder. After all, although they were rivals in love, they had already become allies in the God realm, and their relationship wasn't ordinary. What else could it be? With his character, is it to become stronger to protect us? Ning Rongrong said, Can't one cultivate to become stronger in the God realm? It's different. Zhu Zhuqing shook her head and recalled her experience in the dark demon realm. When I see his body, I want to see if Wang Feng is really dead. Ning Rongrong pouted. Water Ice didn't dare to say anything. He could only mutter in his heart, Sister Rongrong has already become a god, but she still has this personality. Perhaps it was because of his lover. Yet. She looked at the distant sacred mountain. Speaking of which, it had been a long time since she last saw him. When the three of them arrived at the divine mountain, they discovered that the divine mountain was empty. There was no one around. It seems that the seal on Sumera mountain has been broken. His body should have been taken away. Zhu Zhuqing pondered and said, when we were in the dark devil realm, he told me that he cultivated a kind of divine ability. He was able to transform into several people, and all of them possessed great strength. The devil god that was resurrected in the dark devil world was his clone in disguise. Ning Rongrong seemed to have heard something incredible. Even Shui Bing was stunned. In that case, the devil god that came to our divine realm back then was Wang Feng himself? Water Ice exclaimed. Zhu Zhuqing nodded. Wang Feng had told her about this before. It was just that she was already in the dark devil world at that time. Bastard! Ning Rongrong gritted her teeth. No wonder I felt that there was something wrong with that devil god back then. Damn it, he didn't even tell me. This old lady has waited for you for so many years in vain. You deserve to self-destruct. I'm so angry. Zhu Zhuqing whispered a few words in Ning Rongrong's ear. Ning Rongrong's cheeks reddened. She snorted coldly and didn't say anything more. Water Ice was a little curious. She didn't know what Zhu Zhuqing was talking about. She wanted to hear it. His body should only be on that woman. Ning Rongrong pursed her lips. Either it's in the extreme north. That place is very special to Wang Feng. Or it's taken by that woman. It's hidden somewhere. If Mo Tiance goes to the divine realm, he will definitely come to the Douluo world. He might even capture the entire extreme north in one fell swoop. Let's go to the extreme north first. He has so many underlings. We have to help him protect a few. If they're all gone, he will be very sad when he comes back to life. Water Ice nodded. Sister Rongrong had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. The three of them turned into a stream of light and headed towards the extreme north. With their speed, it only took them a short while to reach the extreme north. The changes here are the smallest. The place that changed the least in the Douluo world was the extreme north. It was covered in ice and snow all year round. The life aura of soul beasts filled the entire extreme north. As the water god, Ning Rongrong felt that water was the origin of all living things. She scanned with her divine sense and covered the entire extreme north. The Douluo world is developing really well, Ning Rongrong said softly. In the extreme north, there are cultivation bases specially built by humans for soul beasts. They contain a lot of soul guidance technology and are used to communicate with the soul beasts in the extreme north, as well as nurture their young. In our era, how would humans dare to build a base in such a dangerous soul beast center? He changed the entire Douluo world. Can you sense it? Zhu Zhuqing asked. I can't. Ning Rongrong shook her head slightly. Although there are many soul beasts, the strongest ones aren't here. They must have been taken away in advance. They should have been taken away by her. Zhu Zhuqing pondered. Then where is the remaining place? Ning Rongrong searched for a location in her mind. She looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said at the same time, Sea God's Island? That's right, that's the Sea God's Island. I think we can ask the two soul beasts in the extreme north? Shui Binger suggested. After all, Emperor Qing and the others are the overlords of the extreme north. If they left, these soul beasts should know, right? It seems so. What are we guessing blindly? Ning Rongrong was stunned for a moment before she reacted. She patted Shui Binger on the shoulder and said, Sister Binger, you are really smart. Shui Binger smiled awkwardly. It was obviously Sister Rongrong and the others who were too impatient and neglected the most basic methods. Shui Binger communicated with the soul beasts here with her divine sense. She was the ice god. In the extreme north, She had a natural affinity with almost all the soul beasts and soon found out the news. How is the situation? Ning Rongrong asked. Emperor Qing and the others did leave with a woman, Shui Binger said, but they don't know where they went. However, not long after they left, they said that another woman came to find them. Speaking of this, Shui Binger added, an angel. An angel? It's her? Didn't she leave the divine world? Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing looked at each other and became even more serious. Great, now they are all gathered together. If Mo Tiance comes, won't they be able to catch them all? It's so annoying. It wasn't easy for us to come down, but someone beat us to it. Ning Rongrong pouted, we can't even find a body. That Qian Renshu even came back. Are we going to cut his body into 8 pieces and split it between us for safekeeping? Shui Binger wanted to laugh, but she also wanted to ask if she was qualified to keep a piece if he was really cut into 8 pieces. Let's go to the Sea God's Island first. The Douluo world has now been unified. If we don't have any news, Chi-Chi and the others should have some news, Zhu Zhuqing said. The 3 of them went to the Sea God's Island without stopping. However, the Sea God's Island was no longer in its original position. Furthermore, the Martial Spirit Federation had built it into a Soul Tool city. When the 3 of them arrived, they saw a very interesting scene. A huge flying object in the shape of a sword was floating in midair. It looked extremely gorgeous. The Divine World and the Douluo world didn't have such a huge flying object. In the middle of the sword hilt there was a throne. A golden-haired woman sat on the throne with her legs crossed. She looked at the Sea God's Island with an unfriendly expression. She was also surrounded by human experts. Chapter 1686. You humans, the arrival of my lord is a gift from the heavens. It's fine if you're not grateful, but how dare you attack him? How foolish! Standing beside the blonde woman was an angel with a pair of pitch-black wings. She was wearing exquisite armor and had her hands on her hips as she spoke angrily to the Sea God's Island. Zhu Zhuqing and the other 2 were stunned. Their expressions were very serious. As gods, they could naturally sense that the little angel with the unruly tone was very powerful. The woman sitting on the throne exuded a different aura. That's Qianren Xue? How did she become like this? Ning Rongrong whispered, why does she have a very special aura? It's even stronger than her mother's. It's even stronger than 3rd brother's. Zhu Zhuqing frowned and didn't say anything. At this moment, the blonde woman turned around. She seemed to have noticed the 3. A faint smile appeared on her face. What's wrong, Queen? Do you know these 3? Angel Yu asked curiously. After the Great Star Doe Forest, Queen wanted to go to the Divine Realm. But she suddenly realized that this world was quite interesting. She said she wanted to walk around again, so she came to this place. In fact, Angel Yu knew that Queen was probably still looking for the man called Wang Feng. People? They're not people, they're gods. They're gods from the Divine Realm. The woman said slowly, however, the Divine Realm is just a name that they call themselves. It's actually a higher-level world. It's slightly inferior to the blazing sun star. Then these 3. Angel Yu glanced at them. They were all beautiful women. They're old friends, the woman said. Friends? Not really. They're love rivals, the woman said indifferently. Love rivals. Then they're enemies. Angel Yu said, I'll kill them for Queen. With that, a light flashed in her hand and an angelic sword appeared. Shall you wait? The woman choked and quickly stopped her. Love rivals, not enemies. Queen, what does that mean? Angel Yu frowned. In human language, isn't it an emotional enemy? Isn't that an enemy? This. The woman frowned slightly. She felt a little helpless towards this one-track-minded and immature little angel. Forget it. Stay here and don't move. The woman looked at the vigilant human experts around her and yawned slightly. Then, she cracked her knuckles. In an instant, these human powerhouses were rooted to the ground like statues. The woman flew over and waved her hand casually at Zhu Zhuqing and the others. What are you doing here instead of staying in the god world? Qianrenxue, I haven't seen you in so many years. You've become a lot more arrogant, Ning Rongrong replied in an imposing manner. What, after so many years, you still haven't forgotten about Wang Feng? Is it because you feel that you've become stronger so you want to come back and control him? Kick us away one by one? The woman laughed involuntarily. With her current status. Forget it, they wouldn't understand anyway. How dare you? You gods, how dare you speak to Monarch Tianxiu like this? Hearing Ning Rongrong's disrespectful words, Angel you couldn't hold it in any more. Holding the angel in her hand, she slashed at the three of them. Zhu Zhu frowned and disappeared from where she stood. In an instant the space froze. Countless light figures intertwined in the air. It felt like countless years, but also like an instant. Suddenly, an explosion sounded in the air. The sky turned from gray to bright. Two figures exploded. Zhu Zhuqing stood on the spot. Angel Yu retreated until she was several hundred meters behind the woman. Then, she flew back with a red face. Shouldn't you take care of your subordinates? Zhu Zhuqing said indifferently. The woman waved her hand. Angel Yu looked at Zhu Zhuqing with unwillingness and desire. Enough, little Yu. You're still not her match. After all, Wang Feng helped her a lot. The woman's eyes flickered. Countless runes flickered. With her current strength, it shouldn't be a problem for her to take on 10 of you. Even God Kings might not be her match. TSK, Wang Feng's methods are good. Her tone was somewhat mocking. That's right. Wang Feng helped us a lot. Ning Rongrong smiled proudly. Why? Are you envious? You left the God realm for so long. It must be hard for you to have no one to help you, right? How pitiful. Hearing Ning Rongrong's eccentric words, Zhu Zhuqing held her forehead and didn't say anything. Why would I need his help? The woman said indifferently. Only women like you who are a burden to him would need his help. TSK. Back then, I wonder who and her mother were a burden to Wang Feng. Ning Rongrong had never lost to anyone when it came to quarreling. You caused my Wang Feng to be sealed for 10,000 years. Especially when it came to quarreling with women. The woman clenched the side of the throne. My king is angry. Angel Yu was frightened. The woman opposite her was a bit fierce. She actually angered the king? How many years had it been? How could she still anger the king? But, seeing the two sides arguing back and forth, Angel Yu's forehead started to sweat. Could this be a battle between women? Oh no. It was a battle between love rivals. Rather than arguing with me here, Ning Rongrong, I advise you to think about it carefully. With your little strength, how can you help him? The woman took a deep breath and said indifferently, If I were you, I would leave him obediently. That's none of your business. Why don't you leave? Do you think that you can help him after becoming stronger? Ning Rongrong laughed. I think that he doesn't need any woman's help at all. He only needs to like me and I like him. That's enough. After leaving the God realm and cultivating for so many years, you still don't understand such a simple principle. Actually, Rongrong is right. Zhu Zhuqing nodded. When two people are together, what can be more important than liking each other? You don't understand. The woman shook her head. Or rather, Wang Feng doesn't want you to understand. Your level is too low. I can't stand her high and mighty appearance. Ning Rongrong tilted her head and said to Zhu Zhuqing. She's very strong. We can't beat her and Tang San can't as well. She has the confidence and strength, right? Zhu Zhuqing said honestly. So what? Ning Rongrong snorted. First of all, she has to be a woman. Look at her now. She's even stronger than her mother. If I were Wang Feng, wouldn't it be tiring to be with such a woman? Zhu Zhuqing smiled. With Wang Feng's nature, he didn't care about anything. Perhaps he liked the strength of others. Conquering them would feel better. After becoming a god for so many years, you're still so childish. The woman shook her head. You haven't improved at all. That's true. There's nothing wrong with being a canary. When a man is tired, he will always tease her. These words angered Ning Rongrong. What's wrong with being a canary? She can always be likable. Unlike some people, after so many years, Ning Rongrong retorted loudly. However, at this moment, a pitch-black figure appeared in midair, accompanied by a cold voice. Enough. Chapter 1687. The sudden voice caused the entire place to fall silent. It was very neat. Before Ning Rongrong could finish her retort, she had no choice but to stop. What time is it now? The pitch-black figure floated in the air and said coldly, Since you're here, then come in. After saying that, the figure looked at the woman and remained silent for a long time. Then, it said, With your current status, is it appropriate for you to argue with them? The woman on the throne stood up with an imposing aura. She seemed to want to say something, but she closed her mouth again. At the same time, a special wall of light appeared in the center of the sea god's island. It looked like a door. Humph! The woman snorted and walked towards the wall of light. Zhu Zhuqing and the other two immediately followed. Ning Rongrong whispered, I knew it. Wang Feng's body must have been taken away by Bibidon. Apart from her, no one else can be so fast. That pitch-black figure was Bibidon. That wall of light seems to be connected to another world. Zhu Zhuqing muttered, strange. She left such a passage on the sea god's island. What world does it lead to? Won't we know once we go in? Ning Rongrong impatiently walked towards the wall of light. The first thing that entered their eyes was the blue sky. It was a primitive world with incomparably abundant energy. It was even more abundant than the divine world. There were mountains and rivers that towered above the clouds. There were strange and mysterious vegetation. It was as if they had arrived at a primitive and powerful world. In the sky, there were 7 dazzling light sources hanging in different directions. Those were the auras of the origin. Each one was stronger than the last. What is this place? The 3 women were shocked. My queen, this world seems to have extraordinary potential. On the other side, Angel, you followed the woman and rode the throne to this world. I've fought in the Angel Nebula for so many years, but I've never seen a world with such great potential. If it develops in the future, even the blazing sun star will be far from it. Angel, you said seriously. The woman looked around and narrowed her eyes. Every flower and tree in this world has an endless aura. It should be an ancient civilization that was born. His potential is enormous. If the king said so, then this world must be extraordinarily powerful. They were 100 meters in the air, but they could only see a small corner of the world. However, with the strength of a heaven cultivation king, he could naturally feel the changes in the world as a whole with just a thought. Vigorous and powerful. It was still developing, and it might take a long time. But his future was limitless. At this moment, a white cloud floated over from afar. The white clouds transformed into a table. Screech. In the distance, a clear cry resounded through the sky. A 7-colored blue luan flew over majestically. When it got close to them, it turned into a beautiful woman in green. Qing Di. She immediately exclaimed, Are you really here? This woman was really the Lotus Emperor, the overlord of the extreme north, the little green bird that Wang Feng had saved back then. Yes. Qing looked at them with a worried expression. However, she still smiled at Zhu Zhuqing and the others and asked, Madams, are you all well? Seeing her like this, Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong's hearts sank. Where is Wang Feng? The woman on the throne asked, Is he okay? Qing looked at the woman and said, Are you asking as a madam or as you are now? If it's the former, I can answer you. If it's the latter, I'm sorry, I can't reveal the master's information. You. The woman stood up and frowned. Madam. How can the king be your madam? Angel Yu opened her eyes wide. Don't talk nonsense. In the entire universe, no one is worthy of our Angel Nebula's king. Qing didn't say anything. The woman closed her eyes and said, I'm no longer Qianrenshu. I'm Heaven Cultivation King. Angel Yu heard this and breathed a sigh of relief. How could the faith in her heart, the creator of the Dark Order, the Angel Nebula's king, admit to being someone else's madam? Wasn't this indirectly admitting that the king had a man? If this was true, then her faith would collapse. Then I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Qing replied, and I can't let you see master. Ning Rongrong sneered. Then why did you quarrel with me outside just now? Ning Rongrong's eyes revealed undisguised disdain. You don't even admit that you have a relationship with Wang Feng. Why are you quarreling with me? Heaven Cultivation King pondered for a moment. She took off the golden crown from her head and said slowly, Now, I'm Qianrenshu. I'm your madam. Tell me. Angel Yu. She looked at this scene with a dumbfounded expression. Qing was slightly stunned. She smiled and said, Okay, come with me. With that, she led them and flew into the distance. It didn't take long for the group to arrive in front of a quiet pool. The pool's energy was extremely rich. Even the pool water was filled with energy that was more majestic than the immortal spirit qi of the divine realm. In the center, an indistinct green lotus spun leisurely in the dark pool. And in the center of the green lotus there was a man lying there. Seeing this man, Ning Rongrong's eyes turned sour. She almost cried. No matter how rich the pool's energy was, she could feel that Wang Feng's body in the green lotus had any signs of life. His body was clearly filled with majestic life energy, but he didn't have any signs of life. He just didn't have a soul. Until now, Master still hasn't shown any signs of waking up. Qing sighed. How could? Heaven Cultivation King muttered. Wasn't he sealed in the divine mountain to cultivate? Where's his soul? Qing couldn't explain. The matter was too complicated. This madam had been gone for too long. It was impossible to explain everything in a short time. Zhu Qing knew the reason. She and Ning Rongrong both came from the divine realm. They knew what happened in the dark demon realm. King, he is. Angel Yu glanced at him. This was the man that King came all the way across the universe to this place to find? She looked charming, but unfortunately, she was dead. Heaven Cultivation King wasn't in the mood to answer Angel Yu. Her gaze was attracted by that figure. Her breathing was a little suffocating. She didn't expect. She returned with such an identity. She knew that she had definitely surpassed her mother. She wanted to stand in front of Wang Feng and tell him that she had become stronger and would never be a burden. She could stay by his side with peace of mind, however. She didn't expect that the moment she returned. In the end, he was gone? Heaven Cultivation King took 2 steps back. With her eyes, how could she not see that there was no soul in that body? No matter how strong his body was, it was still just a body. What was the point? Why? Heaven Cultivation King said in a dreamy voice. Ning Rongrong pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Because she already knew the news in the divine realm, she was already prepared. She just held on, thinking that Wang Feng could always create miracles. How could he die? Even if he died, it would definitely be a fake death. After all, there was such an example in the Douluo world. However, it was no longer the Douluo world. End of this chapter. Chapter 1688. Zhu Qing, he's not dead, right? Ning Rongrong asked. No. Zhu Qing's body trembled slightly, but she still answered. Oh, that's good. Ning Rongrong patted her chest and smiled. Looking at Ning Rongrong and Zhu Qing's expressions, she knew that they were trying to convince themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to hold on. Not dead. Heaven Cultivation Monarch was stronger than the 2 girls and more knowledgeable. Naturally, he knew that the possibility was too low. No matter how strong Wang Feng was, the best possibility was that he was like Queen Keisha back then. His soul was indestructible but turned into particles and disappeared in the universe. There was a possibility of resurrection, but it would take many years. And this was based on Wang Feng's strength being on the same level as Holy Keisha. In fact, Heaven Cultivation Monarch thought that it was impossible. How could he not be dead? He is indeed not dead. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. A woman in a black robe slowly walked over from afar. The woman's once majestic face seemed unaffected by the erosion of time and was still as perfect as before. Mother, how can you be sure? Heaven Cultivation Monarch turned around and looked at her. The woman glanced at Heaven Cultivation Monarch with a complicated look in her eyes. How many years had it been? His daughter finally came back. He didn't even need to look for her and she came back by herself. Thinking about it, if she could let go, Wang Feng wouldn't be able to find her. If she couldn't let go, her heart would still be with Wang Feng. Why would she need Wang Feng to search for her? His daughter's current appearance was even better than his back then. Bibidan, what do you mean? Ning Rongrong's breathing quickened. She walked over and grabbed the woman's shoulder. To think that you've known him for so long. Bibidan wasn't angry. She just said indifferently, if he's dead, would I still be standing here in one piece? Right now, the enemy is near. It's better to prepare how to face the enemy. Standing here in one piece. Heaven Cultivation Monarch looked at Bibidan in a daze. What enemy? She asked. Bibidan flicked his finger. A wisp of consciousness divine light entered Heaven Alchemy King's brain. In an instant, many experiences flashed through Tian Xiao King's mind like a movie. Got it? Bibidan asked. Heaven Cultivation King was silent for a moment before nodding slightly. Bibidan shared Wang Feng's experience with her without any explanation. When will he return? Heaven Cultivation King asked in a low voice. Why? You can't wait to prove it to him? Bibidan's eyes reflected Tian Xiao King's figure. She felt as if she was looking at her past self. Heaven Xiao King was silent. She shook her head. I just want to see him. How could Bibidan not understand his daughter? She was even prouder than himself. Now that his identity was so special, how could he admit it? Angel Yu, who was at the side, opened her mouth wide. She felt that the image of Heavenly Cultivation King in her heart was about to collapse. Oh right, what is this world? Zhu Zhuqing suddenly asked. Bibidan was just about to explain when the world suddenly trembled. Emotiance is here. Let's go out first. This world can't suffer any losses now. Bibidan said in a deep voice. You have seen him. His body is still here, but his soul spirit isn't. You don't have to worry for now. Next, that emotiance is the most difficult to deal with. Then let's go out and take a look. Heaven Cultivation King nodded indifferently. I want to see what kind of person this emotiance is. Angel Yu felt a strong murderous aura coming from him. Her heart trembled. The King of Angel Nebula, the creator of the Dark Order, is finally back. She exclaimed in excitement. At the same time, Douluo world. The bright sky suddenly darkened. The boundless sea began to surge with huge waves. Above the clouds there was only a devil figure. The aura of the heavenly demon supremacy, and that world's aura. It's you guys. Emotiance's expression flashed with a trace of joy. I didn't expect Wang Feng to give you the eternal god slaying. What a waste of effort. It's such a waste for such a world to fall into the hands of ants like you. He closed his eyes and waited for a moment. Like a hunter, he quietly waited for a prey that had nowhere else to go. Not long later, above the sea god's island, the light wall flickered, and several figures appeared in the clouds. Bibidan looked at the devil figure above the clouds and remained silent. Before Wang Feng self-detonated in the ancestral realm, he handed everything to her, including the eternal god slaying and the ancestral realm controlled by Yen Mengyao. When she came to the Douluo world, the first thing she did was to prevent Wang Feng's physical body from being damaged. She brought Wang Feng's body away from the sacred mountain. Then, she brought along a few people who were very important to Wang Feng. On one hand, she brought them into the ancestral realm, hoping to help that world with endless potential develop first. On the other hand, she wanted to conceal them, but Bibidon knew that this method could only be used to conceal them for a while. Emotiance was a universe life form after all. It was too easy for him to find them. Even the destruction of the Douluo world could be done with a flick of his finger. Even in the current Douluo world. But Emotiance wouldn't do that. Bibidon knew that Wang Feng's soul had gone to another world. Emotiance knew it too. Therefore, he would only capture them and force Wang Feng's soul out. He would drag it out as long as he could. That is Emotiance? Tianxiu monarch frowned slightly. Wang Feng provoked such a powerful enemy? This guy's aura is much stronger than those godly kings in the divine world. He didn't provoke, but a trap. The situation is very complicated. Wang Feng still has secrets in the experience I told you. I haven't solved them yet, Bibidon said softly. Now, we can only see how long he can last. I have a feeling that he will be back soon. Tianxiu monarch snorted softly. Furthermore, this Emotiance might just be a consciousness clone. Bibidon said in a deep voice. He should have gone to the divine world at the same time. Because of this Emotiance aura, I can feel that he is much stronger than Wang Feng. Back then, he fought with Wang Feng in the Dark Devil world. Consciousness clone? Tianxiu monarch was slightly startled. He couldn't help but curse. Wang Feng always provokes experts who are dozens of times stronger than him. It was the same back then. Although she said that, she still patted the throne lightly. Suddenly, she thought of something and couldn't help but look at Ning Rongrong and the others. Ning Rongrong, you don't have much combat power. I advise you to return to the previous world and hide first. Otherwise, when the battle starts later, the aftershock will directly kill you. I don't want a certain guy to wake up and be sad because of you. Who are you looking down on? Ning Rongrong said coldly. I am the divine world's water god. When Bing, and I are together, even godly kings can't do anything to us. Qian Renxue, don't think that you can look down on others just because you are some king. Tianxiu monarch shook his head. He stopped talking. The next moment, she squinted her eyes and 3 pairs of golden wings lit up on her back. Interestingly, 3 of the wings were black and gold. They were 60% to 70% similar to Wang Feng's Angel of Light and Dark. At the same time, ancestral realm in the mysterious pond. Sigh, master, we are almost too weak. We can't even help mistress and the others. Qing Qing squatted at a corner of the pond and stared blankly. However, at this moment, a light figure flashed across the sky and entered the body on the green lotus. A leisurely voice suddenly sounded. Who said that my Qing Qing is weak? Chapter 1689. A calm voice sounded. Qing Qing was stunned. She looked at the body on the lotus platform as if she was in a dream. It moved. It really moved. She saw her master's body standing up and twisting a few times as if he was getting used to it. Then, his gaze landed on her body. Yes, it's her master's gaze. A familiar gaze. Why, don't you recognize me? Wang Feng twisted left and right and felt a little uncomfortable. He didn't know if it was because he had been touched. He had cultivated 3 souls with 1 spirit into 3 pure ones, and one of them had already gone to the divine world. The main soul didn't move and was in charge of the situation in the dark demon world. The last soul returned to the main body and returned to the Douluo world. Because it was done at the same time, the soul that went to the divine world should have met Shiyu at the same time. The main body is still the most comfortable. The main body had the chaotic green lotus martial soul, and it was different from the Pangu axe martial soul. The chaotic green lotus martial soul had already been cultivated in the Douluo world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to rely on the chaotic green lotus to fight with the divine king back then. However, he was too weak back then. Although the chaotic green lotus true soul had been cultivated, he was still too weak to unleash the potential of the chaotic green lotus. It was different now. As long as his soul cultivated into the initial wheel soul, he could even use the chaotic green lotus martial soul to temporarily materialize. In that case, the primal chaos green lotus would be of great help to him now. Thinking of this, Wang Feng walked down the platform and walked towards Qingqing. "Why haven't you changed much? But you have become much prettier." Wang Feng patted Qingqing's head. "Wah!" Qingqing suddenly reacted and pounced on Wang Feng. She touched him here and there. After a long time, she looked at Wang Feng with tears in her eyes. "Master, it's really you. You really didn't die. Matriarch Dong didn't lie to us." Wang Feng glared at her. "How can your master die so easily? This is the ancestral realm, right? You are worried for nothing. Where are they? Are you talking about Odontosuchus, Shinbing and the rest? They are cultivating in this world." Qingqing wiped her tears and a faint smile appeared on her face. "Matriarch Dong brought us here. Oh right, mistress and the others have gone out. It seems like Mo Tiance is coming soon." "They didn't fight?" Wang Feng asked after some thought. "When we first came in, the two matriarchs and an angel called Heavenly Cultivation King were about to fight. However, they were stopped by Matriarch Dong." Qingqing said. "King Tianxiu?" Wang Feng was taken aback. "F***ck, isn't that Qianrenxue? She's back?" Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. She was now the Angel Nebula's Heaven Cultivation King. Now that she was back, he pondered for a moment. This was something Wang Feng hadn't expected. He actually came back. But now it was a good thing. Wang Feng closed his eyes and said faintly, "Yan Mengyao, come out." As soon as he finished speaking, the ancestral realm trembled. The next moment, a graceful figure appeared in front of Wang Feng. "Master, I've been waiting for you for a long time." Yan Mengyao knelt in front of Wang Feng and respectfully said, "I knew that even if Master blew up his body, he wouldn't die so easily." Wang Feng did not open his eyes. After his experience in the soul world, he already knew the cause and effect of the matter. Although Yan Mengyao was created by Yan Lord back then, it was actually not that simple. She was originally from the ancestral realm, which was the heavenly Tao remnant of the Eldritch world. She was placed in the unopened chaos world by Yan Lord. In fact, she was not created in advance at all. She was just combined with Yan Lord's eternal god slaying. She was truly born the moment Wang Feng split open the chaos world. The reason why Yan Qingjue did this was actually very simple. She wanted to participate in the reconstruction of the Eldritch world. That was why she spent so much effort to collect countless materials to build the eternal god slaying. She wanted to create Yan Mengyao to ensure that the opening of the chaos world could be assisted by a heavenly Tao like her. This was Yan Qingjue's plan. Of course, it was a good plan. It was specially set up for Wang Feng. The premise was that Wang Feng could reach that stage. And in fact, Wang Feng did not disappoint and reach this stage. In that chaos world, he even comprehended the crucial primordial origin. "Master, what are you going to do now?" Yan Mengyao asked cautiously. She couldn't understand her master anymore. Since the self-destruction of the dark demon world, she felt that her master was difficult to understand. However, from the moment the eternal sacred palace split open the chaos world, Yan Mengyao knew that he would be the only god who could make this world prosper. Even if her master had died from self-destruction, Yan Mengyao knew that her master would not die just like that. He would definitely come back. "I need to control the river of time and space of the ancestral realm. I need to cultivate the yin-yang intersection origin with you and cultivate my soul into the initial wheel soul." Wang Feng pointed at Yan Mengyao's forehead. It was too complicated to explain. However, soul transmission could save all the complicated processes in an instant. It could let the other party know his purpose and experience in an instant. This is not good. Yan Mengyao stammered. I am only the heavenly Tao of the ancestral realm. I am cultivating this with my master. Oh? Wang Feng looked at Yan Mengyao with a faint smile. The Yan Mengyao who seduced me when she first awakened in the eternal sacred palace is actually saying such shy word. Are you kidding me? At that time, Yan Mengyao was extremely charming and seductive. What she loved the most was to seduce her master. It was different then. Yan Mengyao coughed a few times. It was to understand my master better. At the same time, it was to adapt to my identity. Because at that time, I already had part of my master's personality in my memory. Lord Yen injected it into me and said that you were a very lecherous man. He has very little resistance to women who are beautiful, have a good figure, and are very big. That's why I did that. Wang Feng was speechless. Yan Qingjue, this girl, why did she randomly add information to her? I knew that Yan Mengyao was abnormal at that time. Enough. Wang Feng immediately stopped Yan Mengyao from continuing to speak. He then glared at Qingqing, who was trying to hold back her laughter. Nonsense. Wang Feng waved his sleeves. How can I be that kind of person? Let's start. Don't waste time. Little Snow should be able to resist that emotiance for a while. Then, Yan Mengyao glanced at Wang Feng shyly. Master, do I have to do that to cultivate the yin-yang intersection origin? No need. Wang Feng glared at her fiercely. Delete all the information about me that Yan Qingjue injected into your mind. Yan Mengyao replied, but those are bound to my memory. If I want to delete them, my memory will be deleted too. Forget it. Wang Feng waved his hand. Yan Mengyao giggled. Qing opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but she stopped herself. What's wrong, Qing? Wang Feng asked. Nothing. Qing shook her head. Wang Feng frowned slightly. What's the matter? Tell me. Qing thought for a while and hesitated. But she still said softly, Snow Empress is awake. Chapter 1690. Wang Feng was silent. Yes, she should have woken up. He had been in the godly mountain for so many years. Back then, she had sealed herself in slumber because he had helped her reconstruct her body. Her essence blood was too strong, and she needed to absorb the ice core origin of the Ice Empress. She should have woken up after 10,000 years. She hadn't woken up when his avatar walked out of the godly mountain and headed to the extreme north. However, she should have woken up after he left the Douluo world and went to the godly realm. She was a little dazed. She was a woman whose mind was as pure as glass, without a speck of dust. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bragged so much. Where is she now? Wang Feng asked softly. Make a guess. Qing replied softly. Bang. Wang Feng smacked Qing's head. Qing covered her head and said, The Snow Empress is still alive. Since you're no longer around, there's no need for her to live either. She sealed herself in ice. She said that she'll live when you're alive. Wang Feng had a complicated expression after hearing that. The Snow Empress was different from his woman. She wasn't a human, but a soul beast. Emotions were completely different from humans. She was actually a spirit formed by the vital energy of heaven and earth. Before he met her in the extreme north, she was the overlord of the extreme north. However, there were almost no soul beasts who could come into contact with her. He wouldn't even be able to get past the Ice Empress, not to mention humans. She was an anomaly among soul beasts. Although he only had a relationship with her for a few months, it was still deeply engraved in his soul. She's still in the extreme north. When she woke up, Matriarch Dong wanted to bring her into the ancestral realm. However, she didn't leave. Qing thought for a moment. The Ice Emperor couldn't bear to leave the Snow Empress, so he sealed himself in ice with the Snow Empress. Matriarch Dong had no choice but to bring us to the ancestral realm. After that, she set up a restriction in the extreme north to prevent them from being disturbed. However, Matriarch Dong's restriction might not be able to stop Mo Tian's. Furthermore, the Snow Empress, Qingqing paused. It's your essence blood. Wang Feng sucked in a deep breath. The Snow Empress did indeed have his own essence blood flowing through her body. If Mo Tian's came to the Douluo world, he would probably be the first to sense how special the Snow Empress was. Things were always unexpected. Master, let's start cultivating immediately. Yan Mingyao's smile disappeared. She knew that her master was not in a good mood. Wang Feng nodded slightly. The ancestral realm was a newborn world, and the river of time was not long. But the ancestral realm itself was very powerful. No matter how short the essence in the river of time was, it was enough to cultivate the soul of the initial wheel. However, in comparison, it was much weaker. However, Wang Feng looked up at the 7 essences in the sky. The origin tribulation Godking's quintessence had been converted into the 7 quintessences he'd comprehended to rebuild the great wilderness. With these 7 origins, the initial wheel-time soul that he cultivated would be very powerful. He could even inject the 7 essences into the river of time in the ancestral realm. Then, according to the development of the ancestral realm, a fixed time was set for the ancestral realm. Although the cultivation time was not long, it was extremely important. Fortunately, Yan Mengyao was very obedient and did not cause any trouble. During the cultivation, she did not deliberately seduce Wang Feng's soul. Compared to Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue's cultivation, it might be even more formal. The 7 essences were slowly injected into Wang Feng's body and lit up. Before the self-destruction, only 5 essences were fully awakened. But now, all 7 essences had been fully awakened. Wang Feng guessed that this might be because Bibidan had secretly cultivated the remaining 2 essences, or injected a huge amount of divine power to awaken them. They were placed in the ancestral realm, waiting for his return. Thinking of this, Wang Feng couldn't help but sigh. Bibidan said that she didn't want to see him in the dark demon realm, and told him not to see her before he found Little Snow. But she was still a perfect helper. After all, she was also someone who had unified the Douluo world for 100 years. She could arrange many things properly, and could always help him directly or indirectly. Fate was really a wonderful thing. The 7 essences were all awakened and integrated into Wang Feng's body. The 2 enormous essences were like 7 stars, flickering and fusing in Wang Feng's body. One had to know that the origin Calamity God King was a universe-level life form. Even at the end of his life, his strength had regressed for a long time, but he was still a universe-level life form. A universe-level life form would definitely possess the will of the universe. If one wanted to obtain the will of the universe of the origin Calamity God King, and inherit everything of the origin Calamity God King, then there was only one last step left. That was to fuse with the Qianrenshu. She was once the angel god of the god realm, one of the 2 great gods that the origin Calamity God King split into. Although the Qianrenshu left the god realm and reincarnated into the angel nebula, her essences didn't remain in the god realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to do such a spectacular thing in the angel nebula just by reincarnation. After fusing with the Qianrenshu, the will of the universe of the origin Calamity God King should appear. But there was no rush now. Even if he didn't rely on the will of the origin Calamity God King, as long as he cultivated the time soul of the origin wheel, it would be easy to kill Mo Tian's clone that came to the Douluo world. Qing looked at the 2 huge cocoons in the air, and blinked her eyes. A mysterious and profound aura overflowed from her master's cocoon, causing her body to tremble. Somehow, he seemed to have comprehended something. Especially the green lotus above her master's head, every petal was as real as it emitted unparalleled brilliance and color. The green brilliance dispersed and fused into the cocoon, nurturing a life form that was about to shock the world, Douluo world. Qian Rinxue let out a muffled groan before her figure transformed into a flowing light that swiftly obstructed Ning Rongrong's path. There was a loud rumble. A huge mushroom cloud seemed to cover the entire Douluo world. The sea was overturned, and the whole world seemed to be starting to crack. Fortunately, this was the sea that was far away from the continent. After the Douluo world had been expanded countless times, it was very far away from the continent, and the aftermath would take a while to reach the continent. The Qian Rinxue held the angelic holy sword in his hand tightly. In the distance, Angel Yu's body floated on the surface of the sea, twitching occasionally, as if she was about to die. She looked at the angelic holy sword in her hand, and there were already cracks. This was a divine weapon that had accompanied her for thousands of years. It was even forged with the technology of the Angel Nebula and injected with the technological power of the fourth-generation divine body. It could be said to be incomparably powerful, and was not inferior to the silver wing in the Holy Kaisha's armory. But at this moment, it was unable to withstand the suppression of the supreme willpower emitted by the demonic shadow. It was a power that transcended dimensions. Just like the illusory power that Karl had always been pursuing, it was a realm that Holy Kaisha had never reached. You are merely a high-dimensional life form from the low-dimensional universe. Although you are considered the pinnacle existence in your universe, unfortunately, the limitations of the low-dimensional universe will never allow you to touch the threshold of a universe-level lifeform. There aren't any lifeforms that have survived the first cycle in your universe, right? Are you sure you still want to struggle? Emo Tian's calm voice came from above. It wasn't a language, but more like a voice of consciousness. It didn't belong to any language, but it could allow all lifeforms to understand what he wanted to say in an instant. The Qian Rinxue gritted his teeth. What kind of enemy did Wang Feng provoke? I can't hold on any longer. Chapter 1691. Qian Rinxue stared at the demonic shadow. She gradually felt that she couldn't hold on after just 100 moves. They were no longer in the pure Douluo world. It was a space battlefield opened up in another dimensional space of the Douluo world. Otherwise, the current Douluo world wouldn't have been able to withstand the battle just now. One had to know that the current her was not inferior to the Holy Kaisha of the past. In fact, she was even a little stronger. But the demonic shadow in front of her had completely transcended the origin, and even time and space couldn't restrain it. This meant that the opponent had almost transcended time. Among the known life forms in the universe, no life form could reach this level. A thin film rippled around, isolating the outside Douluo world. Universe-level life form, Qian Rinxue murmured. She knew that with her current strength, she was 1 or 2 levels stronger than the God King of the divine world. Even if the God King Tang San was in front of her, even in the main battlefield of the divine world, it was impossible for him to defeat her. Originally, she thought that Wang Feng's enemy was at most about the same strength as her. But she never expected this demonic shadow to be so strong. Especially the illusory galaxy above the opponent's head, it emitted a supreme aura that surpassed the power of the origin and the rules. That was definitely a power that transcended the universe. It might even be the ultimate fear that Karl pursued but didn't achieve. And she had already touched the limits of the Dark Order, so she had some feelings for this power. Get out of the way. Ning Rongrong's gritted teeth and groan came from behind. I'm not that weak. I won't die, just take care of yourself. Accompanied by a strong light, it was injected into Qian Rinxue's body. Qian Rinxue's injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. But soon, under the special will of the galaxy, the wounds on her body began to appear continuously. To be precise, there was no healing at all. The power of God couldn't heal the damage caused by the will of the universe. Ning Rongrong had the healing power of the divine world, second only to the God King of life. Especially in these years of cultivation, she had never slacked off. Furthermore, he was on good terms with the God King of Life. The God King of Life was also a woman, and an extremely kind one at that. She took great care of Ning Rongrong, the water god, and even shared the laws of life with her. Although Ning Rongrong's combat prowess was weak, her powerful healing abilities made her extremely useful in the god realm. However, even if that was the case, the difference between them was still too great. Why? Why is it like this? Why is my healing not working on you? Ning Rongrong looked at Qian Rinxue blankly, and then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and Shui Bing who were also seriously injured. Our attacks are ineffective against him. Naturally, your healing won't have any effect on us. Shui Bing snorted and said. Her entire body was covered in a layer of ice crystal armor. From afar, she looked like a goddess of war who had walked out from a world of ice and snow. Because the damage he caused to us is beyond our divine power origin. Zhu Zhuqing walked to Ning Rongrong's side and whispered, but he didn't choose to kill us immediately. He must have other plans. From the looks of it, he wants to capture us. He wants to make us defenseless. Maybe he wants to scheme against Wang Feng. Ning Rongrong pursed her lips, not knowing what to do for a moment. My throne has an emergency wormhole that can travel through this place and leave this place. Qian Rinxue ignored them and seemed to be talking to himself. I can send you out of this world to another universe. This guy isn't his real body. He's a consciousness clone that used the special power of the galaxy to descend here. If he wants to go to another universe, he won't be able to find it without specific coordinates and location. That ancestral realm has already been exposed. Even if we hide inside, it's useless. What do you mean? Ning Rongrong was stunned. You want to send us away? You want to stay behind? Hearing this, Ning Rongrong was furious. Don't give me that. Leave you here to fight to the death with this Mo-Tiance? If Wang Feng comes back to life, do you want him to be sad for you? Do you want us to be deserters? Do you think I, Ning Rongrong, am so spineless? Do you think I'm afraid of death? Qian Rinxue frowned. That wasn't what she meant. However, Qian Rinxue didn't expect that Ning Rongrong's words were also filled with the will to die. At this point, there's no point in arguing about this. At this moment, Bibidon walked over and said calmly, Perhaps we have a way to harm him. She looked at the demonic figure and spoke quickly through voice transmission. When Wang Feng was in the dark demon realm, he once self-destructed and forced the other party to retreat. Wang Feng's body is very strong. Every drop of his essence blood contains great power. It also contains a very special power. According to Bibi Dong, Wang Feng's body was formed by the fusion of two flowing tears of life. At the same time, it also contained the tempering of the chaotic green lotus martial spirit. Especially the second form of the red lotus karmic fire and the chaotic green lotus martial spirit true body, every 10 levels, it would nurture a ray of chaotic divine light. Back then, when Bibidon reforged his body, he used that chaotic divine light. This chaotic divine light was the symbol of the recovery of the chaotic green lotus martial soul and the power of the chaotic green lotus origin. Wang Feng's original body was able to fight against the godly king when he was over level 90. However, without the baptism of the chaotic divine light, his body wouldn't have been able to withstand the fusion of the meteor tear. Wang Feng cultivated the one qi into 3 pure ones and formed a clone that was also baptized by the chaotic divine light. Why was Bibidon's body so strong in the dark demon realm? Even Yan Qingjue once wanted to exchange bodies with Bibidon. That wasn't a lie. It was just that Bibidon actually refused. It was because Bibidon's body had been baptized by the chaotic divine light and contained terrifying potential. What do you want to do? Qian Rinxue's breath tightened. He's back. Bibidon closed her eyes. I can sense that he's in the ancestral realm. However, I know that he can't appear yet. He still needs time. Hearing this, the girls were all stunned. Bibidon said slowly, I still have the body of the heavenly demon lord. He helped me refine this body back then. It's time for me to return it to him. Bibidon had two bodies. After going to the dark demon realm, the Yama king gave her the eternal god-slaying body and gave her the identity of the heavenly demon lord. The other body was naturally her original divine body, which was also reforged by Wang Feng in the beginning. Impossible. Even with your current strength, it's not enough. Qian Rinxue said subconsciously, I can't let you do this. It's not enough. However, there's another person in the Douluo world. She also has Wang Feng's blood essence. She once had half of Wang Feng's blood essence. Her strength is more than enough. Bibidon said. Chapter 1692. Qian Rinxue frowned slightly. Wang Feng seemed to have told her about it before. It was a soul beast from the extreme north. Wang Feng had used up half of his essence blood to save that soul beast. Wang Feng's body was already at its peak back then. If she remembered correctly, she should be called the Snow Empress. Yes. Wang Feng didn't hide anything from them. Before he was sealed, he told them about it. Speaking of which, they didn't seem to have met in the ancestral realm. Not only did she possess half of Wang Feng's essence blood, but she also cultivated for countless years. The time she was sealed was about the same as Wang Feng's. Bibidon said plainly, her strength is definitely much weaker than yours. However, the potential of her body is stronger than yours. However, she's cold and aloof. Where is she now? Qian Rinxue asked. The extreme north has sealed itself in ice. She should be here by now. Bibidon looked into the distance. As soon as his voice fell, Qian Rinxue felt the surrounding temperature suddenly drop. Countless cracks appeared on the dimensional battlefield in the Douluo world. Oh! In midair, Mo Tiance looked at a figure in the distance. A smile surfaced on his face. She's finally here. In this world, other than the heavenly devil ancestor, there's only one life form with the same bloodline as you. You must have paid a huge price for her. Hence, she must be closely related to you. When he came to this world, he had already sensed it. However, what was interesting was that she had sealed herself. If he forcefully broke it open, she would perish. As a life form in the universe, he could break her seal with a flick of his finger. However, she would die if he did so. In that case, it would be meaningless. Therefore, he decided to capture those who were close to Wang Feng first. He didn't expect this life form, who was probably the most closely related to Wang Feng, to appear herself. In the distance, snow-white hair fluttered in the air. That snow-white face was still the same as before. Even the light in the world paled in comparison to this snow-white face. Beside her, there was a green-haired lady. She was staring coldly at Mo Tiance in the sky. Sigh, that Wang Feng, I knew that he would never be able to settle down. The green-haired woman didn't look very old, about 16 or 18 years old. She was very young, and her tone was filled with despair. Provoking such a powerful enemy is simply a disaster for this world. It wasn't easy for this world to have a new atmosphere. If this continues, it will be over. If it wasn't for him, this world wouldn't be this world anymore. Ice Emperor, you are not allowed to talk about him like that, the snow-clothed woman said softly. I won't say. How would I dare to scold him? Wasn't it because he wasn't around? If he were here, how would I, a mere ice scorpion, dare to criticize the soul beast's great benefactor? The green-haired woman waved her hand. Big sister, what do you plan to do now? The woman in the snow-white dress looked at the Bibidon with a soft and bright gaze. When she came to the northernmost land with Emperor Qing and the others, she talked to me alone. The snow-robed woman said in a low voice. One day, she will borrow my strength, the strength of my body. Who is she? She said she wants to borrow your strength, and you lent it to her? The green-clothed woman looked at the Bibidon and snorted. She is a woman who would sacrifice herself for love without hesitation. Disgusting. The green-clothed woman's body trembled, and she turned her head away. On the other side. You already planned this long ago? Qian Renshue's breathing gradually hastened as she looked at the Bibidan. Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong were also looking. No, your appearance was not within my expectations. Bibidan smiled. But very good. Little Shui, at least you came and delayed enough time. Otherwise, the plan might not be able to be executed. Mo Tian's strength is still beyond my imagination. How did you know that Wang Feng would return to the ancestral realm at this time? I guess. Bibidan closed his eyes. He will definitely rush back before Mo Tian arrives. Then the two of you are really telepathic. Qian Renshue's tone was weird. After she finished speaking, her figure flashed, and she rushed towards Mo Tian's. Since you have already planned it out, let's begin. I can only delay this much time for you. Bibidan's gaze also landed on the Snow Empress. Before she returned to the Douluo world, she had only heard of the Snow Empress from Wang Feng. After returning to the Douluo world and heading to the extreme north, she finally got to know her. But now are their gazes intertwined in the void. Both of them had far exceeded the limits of the Douluo world. With a thought, boundless radiance rose from both of them, forming two light pillars that intertwined in mid-air. Mo Tian waved his hand and blasted the Qian Renshue far away. In just an instant, the Qian Renshue appeared in front of him again. The angelic holy sword in her hand was burning with a special flame that fused darkness and light. She slashed it towards Mo Tian. Self-destruct? After falling for Wang Feng's trick once, you still want to fall for it a second time? Mo Tian laughed sinisterly. Do you really think that I, a universal life form, can be promoted so easily? Star River willpower, heavenly origin, tremble! In that instant the void stilled. The moment the two light pillars intertwined, they were suppressed by the Star River willpower above Mo Tian's head. Even the shattered space seemed to have become a painting in the Star River, and was frozen. Bibidan and the Snow Empress, who were in the middle of the light pillars, sighed. Bibidan sighed, but she still underestimated the universal life form. She actually didn't know. When Wang Feng self-destructed to force Mo Tian back, other than because of his huge body, it was also because of the detonation of his life origin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to force Mo Tian back. However, Bibidan had already left the battlefield under Wang Feng's instructions. For a life form like Mo Tian, it was impossible to scheme against him unless it was someone of the same level. Life forms below him couldn't possibly scheme against him. Even if they had such a thought, he could easily detect it. If Wang Feng hadn't detonated his life origin, the self-destruction wouldn't have succeeded. A universal life form that transcended the long river of time and space, and was at the pinnacle of the origin wheel universe, was far greater than they could imagine. However, at this moment, above the 9 heavens, a dazzling divine light suddenly flew over. It was an ancient bell. The bell rang everywhere, and a crack seemed to have appeared in the still space and the supreme willpower. That is. Numerous gazes looked over in a daze. No one knew where the bell came from. Just like that, it descended from the sky with unparalleled might and shrouded Mo Tian's sky. It emitted a supreme divine light that suppressed the heavens and the universe. Mo Tian's expression changed immediately. He couldn't move. Your avatar in the God world is dead, and this Tao isn't far away. Look, this avatar of yours can no longer break free from the suppression of my bell of chaos. At the same time, a voice that seemed to come from ancient times sounded from a light wall in the void. Chapter 1693. The majestic light of the chaos bell suppressed the entire universe and emitted boundless divine might. Mo Tian, who was enveloped by it, couldn't move at all. This voice caused everyone present to tremble violently. It was impossible for the experts of the Douluo world to participate in a battle of this level. Bibidon was very cautious. She had chosen the Sea God's Island, which was far away from the continent. Even if Emotiance descended here, the shock waves from the battle wouldn't harm the continent for a while. There weren't any soul beasts around. There were only a few human experts guarding the Sea God's Island, and they were isolated from the battlefield. Therefore, there were only a few people present. The owner of the voice was naturally Wang Feng. The process of him and Yan Mengyao cultivating the yin-yang fusion origin was very smooth. Most importantly, there were 7 origins as support. The initial wheel-time soul that his soul cultivated wasn't inferior to the other 2. At the same time, the initial wheel-time soul of the God world was cultivated, and the Pangu axe was split into chaos to suppress Emotiance, who came to the Douluo world. That was why the current scene was happening. Of course, Bibidon and the others didn't know the origin of this spell. Therefore, they were very confused when the chaos spell appeared. However, Wang Feng's appearance made them understand immediately. Emotiance looked at Wang Feng with a gloomy expression. The moment the chaos spell appeared, he understood. His clone in the God world was gone. In fact, he even knew how it had disappeared. The 2 clones acted at the same time. Previously, he knew that Wang Feng cultivated the initial wheel, so he sent his clones to both worlds to prevent any accidents from happening. He also prevented those close to Wang Feng from escaping. However, he didn't expect Wang Feng to return from the Dark Devil World's soul domain so quickly. Furthermore, he became so strong. Emotiance actually, I was curious, Wang Feng said slowly. As a chess piece, it's normal to want to break free from the chess game and become a chess player. You schemed in the Dark Devil World and waited for the day to kill Yanqingjue. You wanted to obtain the remnant will of the universe in the remaining 5 shackles. But no matter what, she was the one who created you. It's fine if you're ungrateful. However, your actions were still so stupid. Why didn't you wait a little longer when you knew that the 9 shackles contained a power that could allow you to reach a higher level? Wang Feng narrowed his eyes. Maintaining the cooperative relationship with Yanqingjue and making a move when she's about to absorb all the 9 incomplete wills of the universe? Otherwise, how could there be so many follow-up events? With your intelligence, you shouldn't have thought of this back then. However, he hurriedly absorbed 3 strands of devil chi and left one behind as an ambush. What are you planning? What other purpose do you have? Emotiance didn't say anything as he looked at Wang Feng indifferently. After returning from the Soul Society, Wang Feng had been thinking about this question. If one wanted an explanation, there were actually many. For example, Emotiance back then wasn't a universe-level life form, so he couldn't think that far ahead. Anything was possible. However, Wang Feng had a premonition that there might be something else involved. If I hand over the remaining 2 strands of devil chi, will you let go of this will clone of mine? Emotiance suddenly asked. Interesting. Will avatars were not simple. Once his will avatar was destroyed, it meant that his universe will would slowly become incomplete. It would require a large amount of time to recover, and at the same time, his strength would decrease. Emotiance obviously didn't want to face such an outcome, which was why he said such words. With the example of the will clone in the divine world, Emotiance didn't seem to think of running away immediately. To be precise, he couldn't run away. If it was Emotiance's true body, the Bell of Chaos might not be able to suppress it. Unfortunately, it wasn't his true body, but only his will avatar. Wang Feng smiled. Let you go? Are you looking for trouble? If you destroy this avatar of mine, you can forget about ever obtaining those 2 strands of demonic chi. Emotiance said slowly. Yanqingjue needs these 2 strands of devil chi to condense the complete heaven's embryo will. This is a crucial step for her to evolve from a heaven Dao to a universe-level life form. Otherwise, she can only be a heaven Dao in the dark demon world. Unless the dark demon world evolves into a low-elemental universe. Unfortunately, that's impossible. It's just a deal. Moreover, you have already destroyed one of my will clones. Even if my true body comes and the Xing River will isn't complete, I won't pose any threat to you. Mo Tian's words were filled with temptation. You must be indebted to Yan Qingjue for dealing with me, right? You want to get the last 2 strands of devil chi from me. Letting go of my will clone will be killing many birds with one stone. It will be more beneficial to you. Wang Feng laughed. At this moment, the exchange between the two seemed to have stopped time and space. But what if I still don't want to? Wang Feng asked. Mo Tian's eyes were like the forest. Then I will use the move you used against me. I will activate my intent and make this will clone explode. Even if you can protect the women around you, you won't be able to protect this world. Not only this world, but even the divine world will be implicated. Along with many other worlds related to this world, they will all perish. He seemed to be saying, who didn't know how to self-destruct. The will clone of the divine world wouldn't stand a chance. However, Mo Tian's was different now. He had learned from the mistakes of others. Hearing Mo Tian's words, the rest of the women held their breaths. Wang Feng, don't agree to it. Bibidan's lips moved slightly as she transmitted her voice coldly. There will be endless troubles. Even if the entire world has to be buried with me? Wang Feng glanced at her. Why not? Bibidan said faintly. Don't forget your current strength and realm. You should look further ahead. You have to think for yourself. You've already helped this world enough. Don't let this become your shackle. Wang Fengxin said. As expected, this was Bibidan. Bibidan's thinking was very simple. With Wang Feng as the center, nothing else mattered. When necessary, she could give up everything. She wasn't a kind god like Tang San in the divine world. Instead, she was a heavenly devil supremacy who had experienced much darkness and stayed in the dark devil world for a long time. Yan Qingjue has helped you before. If you kill him, Yan Qingjue won't be able to get what she wants. Wang Feng stared at Bibidan. Moreover, I have promised her that I will help her get what Mo Tian's took away. It was too troublesome to explain the will of the universe, so Wang Feng didn't go into detail. Bibidan looked at Wang Feng and said softly, It's up to you. No matter what you do, I will support you. However, I don't think you should let Mo Tian's go. Wang Feng suddenly found it interesting. He looked at the rest and asked, What do you guys think? The current situation was special, and it wasn't the time to be affectionate. They were all stunned by Wang Feng's question. Chapter 1694. Wang Feng, I support what Bibidan said. The first person to reply was Ning Rongrong, which Wang Feng didn't expect. Wang Feng looked at Ning Rongrong strangely. Rongrong, you're the water god. Water is the source of life. You've even comprehended part of the God King of Life's laws of life. How can you bear to see this world perish? This is the Douluo world, your hometown. Ning Rongrong hesitated for a moment and said to Wang Feng, But I feel that if we let Mo Tian's escape, the world will be in danger. It won't be just the Douluo world that will suffer. Furthermore, I don't want you to face a situation where you have to self-destruct to survive. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment before he laughed. Good lass. I didn't expect you to think of this. Wang Feng sighed. Rongrong wasn't stupid. It was just that she seemed very easy to coax and stupid in front of him. You can do whatever you want, Zhu Zhuqing said. She thought for a moment and wanted to say something, but stopped. Eventually, she shut her mouth obediently. Wang Feng pondered for a moment and looked at the Snow Empress in the other light pillar. As they looked at each other, there was no sense of unfamiliarity. It was as if they had returned to the time in the extreme north. What about you? This world is very important to you, right? Wang Feng asked. Nonsense. This world gave birth to my sister. Do you think it's important? The Snow Empress didn't answer, but the green-clothed lady flew over and transmitted her voice. Little Scorpion, you don't have the right to speak here. Go away, Wang Feng said. The Ice Empress. The Ice Empress took in a deep breath, but didn't move. Wang Feng, you. The Ice Empress looked at Wang Feng angrily. Just as she was about to speak, she was stopped by the Snow Empress. To me, there's something more important than this world. So, the Snow Empress paused. I respect your choice. You don't have to consider my feelings. The Ice Empress thought for a moment. What was more important than this world? She looked at Wang Feng and understood. Wang Feng smiled and said, You're making me feel a little ashamed. I feel like I'm not worthy of you. Oh, so you still have some self-awareness, huh? The Ice Emperor immediately shouted. Wang Feng, I was just casually being humble, and you stupid scorpion took it seriously? Wang Feng's face darkened. The airport was just an eyesore. Wang Feng looked at Emotiance. You've asked. Emotiance was like a calm Buddha as he closed his eyes without any emotions. Wang Feng nodded. I can let you go, but I have a question, Wang Feng suddenly said. What is it? Where did you comprehend the will of the Milky Way? Wang Feng asked. Emotiance's expression didn't change as he said, The will of the universe is obtained by fate. Bullshit. Wang Feng sneered. The will of the universe is obtained by fate. However, this will of the Milky Way isn't something you can obtain. Moreover, you obtained the complete will of the Milky Way after obtaining the two great demonic auras and cultivated to become a universe-level life form. Moreover, every will of the universe is comprised of several main and branch origins. Only by cultivating all of them can one obtain the complete will of the universe. No matter how lucky you are to obtain the complete will of the universe, it's impossible for you to cultivate to become a universe-level life form so quickly. How difficult was it to obtain the complete will of the universe? Taking Wang Feng as an example, the most complete one was Origin Calamity Deity King. However, how difficult was it to obtain Origin Calamity Deity King's will of the universe? Since Wang Feng obtained the Dark Angel Martial Soul from Yanqingjue, he had been progressing in this direction step by step. Until now, he hadn't obtained it. Moreover, they were all subdivided into 7 major origins. At the beginning, the 7 major origins had 14 branch origins. They slowly fused together. After countless fortuitous encounters, he finally obtained the complete 7 major origins. Even so, he was still one step away. The Crimson Deity Skyfox clan was a universe-level life form, but they only possessed an incomplete will of yin and yang. They were still one step away from being complete. There were still a few branch origins that were difficult to touch. That was a clan. The Crimson Deity Skyfox clan that had lived in the universe for countless years. They hadn't obtained the complete will of the universe. Yet, Emotiance was able to obtain such a powerful will of the universe. Wang Feng knew that the will of the universe was different from the will of the heaven embryo. The will of the heaven embryo was only used for universe-level life forms to condense a physical body that transcended time and space. It was a basic will of the universe, the foundation of becoming a universe-level life form. However, Emotiance's will of the universe was different. This plaything was truly a top-notch will of the universe. Wang Feng sneered. For you to be able to reach this step, you must have a universe-level life form behind you. However, if you do, the situation would be completely different. Obviously, you don't. So there's only one possibility. Either you are the possessor of the will of the universe. In other words, you were once a universe-level life form, but you perished during the universe's genesis calamity. You only inherited the will of the universe. Hence, Yanqingjue didn't treat you as a chess piece. Instead, you treated Yanqingjue as a chess piece. What you are after isn't the few incomplete wills of the universe in the shackles of the palace in the Soul Society. Because you don't lack the will of the heaven embryo. You must have another motive for getting it. Actually, Wang Feng had already guessed it when he found out that the shackles of the palace contained the will of the heaven embryo. Because this wasn't Mo Tian's real goal. What are you trying to say? Mo Tian's expression didn't change. It was as though nothing would change, no matter what Wang Feng said. What is your motive? Wang Feng asked indifferently. The air fell into silence. Mo Tian suddenly laughed. Since you can think of so many things, do you think I will answer your question? If you don't answer, you will die, Wang Feng said slowly. His tone was calm. My motive is very simple. Mo Tian closed his eyes. My motive is Yan Qingjue. Hearing this, Wang Feng was slightly stunned. His mind was slightly blocked. He had an instinct that Mo Tian wasn't lying. However, it didn't seem to make sense. If that's the case, it's better for you to die. Wang Feng thought for a while and said. After saying that, his body shook, and a dreamlike green lotus appeared above his head. In an instant, the green lotus disintegrated and turned into endless divine radiance, changing into various forms. A pitch-black spear formed from the roots condensed in Wang Feng's palm. Countless lotuses of different forms bloomed with endless radiance and landed on Wang Feng's body. A waterfall-like long river of time appeared in the void and revolved around Mo Tian. Wang Feng kept his mouth shut. At this moment, the god-slaying spear in his hand seemed to have condensed all the darkness and light. Heaven and earth were dark, and space was devoured by darkness. Under the shroud of the bell of chaos, Wang Feng held the god-slaying spear and penetrated Mo Tian's will clone like an eternal radiance. You! Mo Tian's expression was slightly shocked, as though he didn't expect Wang Feng to do that. I won't let my opponent use the same move against me. You won't have the chance to self-destruct. Moreover, I know you might be lying to me. Wang Feng's voice was low and serene. But since you want to die, I will naturally grant you your wish. Mo Tian opened his mouth slightly, as though he wanted to say, You said you would let me go as long as I speak. Rumble. A huge amount of willpower energy exploded in the void. It was as gorgeous as fireworks, but it almost shattered this world. Chapter 1695. Wang Feng had never thought of letting Mo Tian go. Even if it was just a will clone. Mo Tian's threat was harmless to him. Because Wang Feng wouldn't give him a chance to self-destruct. Wang Feng only wanted to know Mo Tian's true motive. Both parties knew what the other party wanted. As for whether Mo Tian was telling the truth, only he would know. As for the 2 strands of demonic qi, Mo Tian's main body was still around, so the demonic qi was naturally still on him. Now that he had lost 2 will clones, his strength was greatly reduced. The 2 strands of demonic qi contained the incomplete will of the universe, especially the will of the heavenly embryo. This would have a certain recovery effect on him. It was most likely that Mo Tian would absorb the incomplete willpower of the 2 strands of demonic qi and recover to a certain extent. Although this might cause him to suffer from some sequelae, it was still better than having his strength greatly reduced, or even falling to the level of a universe life form. Therefore, Mo Tian definitely wouldn't use the 2 strands of demonic qi recklessly. If he absorbed them, it would naturally be for the best. He could find his main body and kill it. Then, he would naturally obtain the 2 strands of incomplete willpower he had absorbed. The death of the 2 will clones meant that Mo Tian's threat to him was at its lowest. Next, he only needed to combine his 3 souls to obtain the angel origin core on Qianrenxue, which was the symbol of the angel godhood. The angel origin core was only a name given to the angel godhood. In fact, it should be the origin cores of the 2 gods that the origin calamity god king had turned into before his death. Because only this origin core could fuse with the 7 great origins and derive the origin calamity god king's will of the universe. Retrieve. The green lotus bloomed, and its petals transformed into a black lotus. It absorbed all the energy from the death of Emotiant's will clone. Emotiant's will clone wasn't an ordinary body. Even if it was suppressed by Wang Feng in the primal chaos and destroyed by the god-slaying spear, 1/10 of the energy from the body's explosion could destroy the Douluo world dozens of times over. At the same time, after the energy from Emotiant's explosion was absorbed, a sparkling and resplendent crystal that seemed to reflect the universe appeared in his sight. Fragment of willpower. Wang Feng smiled. The will doppelganger had such powerful combat strength because it was split from Emotiant's own universe will. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to utilize a portion of the galaxy will's power. Therefore, Emotiant's cherished the will clone very much. The reason for that was because once this thing died, the will contained within the clone would shatter and leave the main body. It caused the Star River will of Emotiant's main body to be slightly damaged. Compared to the will of the entire universe, this kind of fragmentation might be as small as a grain of sand in the ocean. However, an incomplete will was an incomplete will. No matter how small the incomplete will was, it would still affect the cultivation of the main body. To life forms below the universe level, this kind of influence was negligible. Even an incomplete universe will could easily wipe out existences like demon gods and godly kings. However, to universe-level life forms of the same level, the deciding factor might be the difference of 0.0001 between the universe willpower and the universe willpower. Actually, Wang Feng also knew that if Emotiant's had transcended the initial universe calamity, his universe will wouldn't have such a problem. No matter how many will doppelganger there were, the universe will would still be a complete entity after death and wouldn't shatter into pieces. It was a pity that it wasn't a matter of whether he had transcended or not. It was just that he hadn't reached that stage yet. Now that his will was incomplete, it was basically impossible for him to transcend. This is a good thing. Wang Feng waved his hand and took the will fragment into his hand. To him, it was a good thing. But to others, it was very dangerous. Wang Feng could use the primordial origin to analyze the galaxy will in this fragment and gain a deeper understanding of Emotiant's. Furthermore, it happened to be incomplete, which made it very suitable for the primordial origin to analyze. If it was complete, it would be very difficult to analyze it in a short period of time even if his 3 souls fused into one. After all, his current strength hadn't reached that stage yet. Wang Feng waved his hand gently, and the surrounding space changed like ripples. The special battlefield formed by the dimensional space disappeared. It was as though there was a thin film separating them, and the azure sky of the Douluo world could be seen again. There were also a few figures in the distance. Is it settled? Bibidon flew over and asked softly. It shouldn't be that simple, right? This is only one of Emotiant's will clones. There's one in the god world too. Since it's destroyed, it's naturally not completely settled. His main body is still around. Wang Feng said leisurely. However, with 2 of his will clones gone, he won't dare to appear in front of me for the time being. He's probably hiding somewhere in the universe to recover from his injuries. Clones. Bibidon furrowed his brows slightly. Although he already knew about it, he still found it hard to accept. If a clone was already so strong, who knew how strong his main body would be? Don't worry. Wang Feng could tell Bibidon's worries at a glance. You have to think of it this way. This is also a clone of mine. He was killed by me so easily. How can his main body be stronger than me? Bibidon was silent for a moment. Compared to the previous battle with Emotiant's, the current Wang Feng was indeed much stronger. It was because his soul was stronger. Also, the ancient bell that flew over from the sky was stronger. Otherwise, it would be hard to say. As he thought of this, Bibidon felt a faint sense of pride and joy in his heart. However, when he thought of what he was going to face next, he felt sweet and bitter at the same time. This item is much stronger in my hands than when I used it in the Douluo world. Wang Feng opened his palm gently, and the chaotic green lotus quietly bloomed. Whether it was the chaotic green lotus or the Pangu axe, both of them weren't simply heaven-opening treasures. Instead, they were the primordial seeds that were left behind by the powerful beings of the universe in the previous primordial world before it was destroyed. These two treasures had gathered the wills of many powerful beings in the primordial world. Otherwise, a heaven-opening treasure alone might not be able to deal with Mo Tians. Especially now that these two seeds had grown into towering trees in Wang Feng's hands. Bibidon snorted softly and said, "What's next? What do you plan to do?" After saying that, she glanced at the other ladies. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. Wang Feng. Before he could open his mouth, Ning Rongrong was the first to pounce on him. Like a young swallow, she threw herself onto Wang Feng. Then, she pinched left and right as if she was confirming whether it was the real Wang Feng. "So it's real." Wang Feng coughed and thought to himself, how shameless. There are so many people here. It was as if she was declaring her sovereignty. He patted Ning Rongrong's back gently and said, "Get up first. I have something to do." "I don't want to." Ning Rongrong turned her head and said. Wang Feng slapped her buttocks. Smack. The clear and melodious voice sounded very pleasing to the ears in the quiet sky. End of this chapter. Chapter 1696. Ning Rongrong blushed immediately. She immediately stood up and said shyly, "What are you doing? There are people here." "Oh, you know there are people here?" Wang Feng glared at her and whispered, "Can we talk about it when there's no one around?" Ning Rongrong pursed her lips and acknowledged. She flew to Zhu Zhuqing, who was rushing over, and said, "Zhuqing and I will wait for you in the God realm." Zhu Zhuqing thought to herself, "I've just arrived, and I haven't even spoken much. You want to drag me to the God realm? I'm not going to do it." Although that was what she thought, Zhu Zhuqing looked around and said, "Then, let's return to the God realm first? Forget it, Rongrong, why don't we tour this world for a few more days?" Ning Rongrong's eyes brightened. Sure. Wang Feng knew that Zhu Zhuqing wanted to create some space for herself and the others. She could probably guess what he was thinking. With that, Ning Rongrong pulled Shui Bing-er and Zhu Zhuqing away. Sigh. Shui Bing-er sighed. "I haven't even said anything. But looking at the situation, one side is Bibidon, the other side is the Snow Empress, and there's even a Qianrenxue. They're not to be trifled with. Forget it. He has a clone. I should still have a chance, right?" Shui Bing-er glanced at Wang Feng and suddenly thought of this. She disappeared without a trace. "Sister, do you still want to stay here?" The Ice Emperor came back to her senses. She looked around first, as if to confirm that she wasn't dreaming. She only spoke after a long while. The battle between Wang Feng and Mo Tians was still in a frozen state to them. Both of them had transcended the river of time in the Douluo divine world. Although it was only for an instant, they couldn't see the details clearly. They could only see the explosion of energy that turned into beautiful firework. After that, the demonic figure disappeared. Only Wang Feng remained in the sky. He had a green lotus above his head and a divine spear in his hand. He shone brightly and was very dazzling. "I want to talk to him." The Snow Empress said, "You can go back first." "No, I don't want to leave, sister." The Ice Emperor snorted. "Look, the girls around this man are all prettier than the other. There's no place for you to speak." "My mouth is on my body. I can say whatever I want," said the Snow Empress. "It has nothing to do with being pretty." The Ice Emperor. That makes sense, the Ice Empress thought. That's right, Big Sister has an intimate relationship with this stinky man. The others is seeing. What did you see? Wang Feng was stunned. A beautiful smile blossomed on the Snow Empress' face. "You really did what you promised me back then. Although I didn't see you during this period, I was very happy when the ice seal ended. Wang Feng coughed a few times. He could feel that the Bibidan's gaze wasn't right. I know you have things to do. I'll come and find you when you're done, the Snow Empress said softly. She knew that she, or rather, not only her, but the others could not help Wang Feng much at this moment. Hence, she stopped here. All right. Wang Feng nodded. Soul beasts weren't simple. Wang Feng felt that a certain scorpion wasn't simple. She was very knowledgeable about human affairs. They were simple, but only in terms of emotions. In fact, the Bibidan and the Snow Empress had helped him stall for time. Of course, they didn't seem to be of much help because they wanted to hurt Mo Tiance and didn't succeed. In fact, they were very helpful. The Snow Empress stood where she was and looked at Wang Feng. There was a different kind of light in her eyes. Sister? The Ice Emperor looked from the side. Didn't she say that she would look for Wang Feng after he was done? Why didn't she leave? Wang Feng thought for a moment before walking over and hugging the Snow Empress. Wait for me, he said. Okay. The Snow Empress turned around with a satisfied smile on her face. The Ice Emperor looked very uncomfortable. It was as if he had been fed a mouthful of dog food. The Ice Emperor didn't even think as he pulled the Snow Empress away. Wang Feng watched as the figures disappeared from his sight. He thought to himself, it seems that Zhu Zhuqing and Bibi Dong are not the ones with the largest number of people. That didn't make sense. They're gone. A faint voice sounded from the side. No, I'm thinking about something else, Wang Feng said seriously. The Bibidan acknowledged and suddenly asked, Is it big? Wang Feng didn't even think before answering, Very big. Wait, Dong that's not what I meant. Wang Feng scolded himself. These women were getting more and more familiar with his nature. Humph. The Bibidan sneered. I don't know what you mean. However, if you don't pay attention, someone will leave. Wang Feng was stunned and looked to the side. He saw the Qian Rinxue in the distance scooping up a little angel from the sea and returning to the throne. Then, he activated the special circuit on the throne expressionlessly. A wormhole was formed in midair. It seemed to lead to another universe. Wait. Wang Feng shuddered. How could he forget the most important thing? After he finished speaking, he appeared on the throne as if he had teleported. The throne was like a cross-shaped mountain peak. It was extremely tall. The throne was in the middle. The interior even looked like a small city. What do you want? The Tianxia monarch looked at Wang Feng and asked plainly. Xiao Shui, are you going back? Wang Feng looked a little awkward. There's no need, right? I'm the Tianxia monarch. I'm from the Angel Nebula, she said. Not Xiao Shui. You're calling the wrong person. Wang Feng looked at her and blinked his eyes. The Qian Rinxue now was very different from the Qian Rinxue 10,000 years ago. Their appearances were almost the same, but their auras were too different. As a result, the changes were too drastic. You have injuries caused by Mo Tiance. Rongrong shouldn't be able to heal them, but I can, Wang Feng said. There's no need to trouble you, the Tianxia monarch said plainly. TSK. Wang Feng could tell from her tone that she was angry. Perhaps she wasn't just angry. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng walked over. The two of them got closer and closer. Please stop, the Tianxia monarch said in a low voice. Wang Feng didn't reply. He walked up to the throne and hugged the Qian Rinxue with an indomitable spirit. The Tianxia monarch suddenly looked a little flustered. She took a few steps back and subconsciously pushed Wang Feng with both hands. However, it was obvious that she didn't realize that this level of resistance was completely useless. It was more like she wanted to say something but didn't. Until Wang Feng hugged her in his arms and whispered into her ears that were stained with golden hair, Swear you didn't say anything and left for 10,000 years. I don't know how long I've been thinking about it. The Qian Rinxue's delicate body trembled. She pushed Wang Feng's shoulders with both hands, and her voice finally lost its calm. Instead, it was filled with embarrassment and anger. Who would believe that? How long can you think about it? I've been away for so long, and I didn't see you looking for me. Hearing this voice, Wang Feng knew that this lass really fell for it. She couldn't hold it in anymore, right? The Tianxiu monarch couldn't hold it in anymore, right? What a joke. How could Wang Feng not know what the Qianrenxue was thinking after coming back from the Douluo world? Chapter 1697. After a while. I've looked for you, Wang Feng said. Ha ha. Qianrenxue laughed and said calmly, I'm afraid you've already forgotten about me somewhere. How is that possible? Wang Feng got up slightly and looked at Qianrenxue with a serious face. I really did look for you. And even if you didn't come back, I would have gone to the Angel Nebula to look for you. The distance between their faces was less than 10 centimeters. Qianrenxue blushed slightly and turned his head with a look of disbelief. You still don't believe me? Wang Feng said, Not only have I looked for you, but I even know what you've experienced in the Angel Nebula all these years. You've created the Dark Order in the Angel Nebula and established the Light-Dark Cosmic Alliance. There are many other things that I know. Qianrenxue was stunned. These things were not secrets in the Angel Nebula. But how did Wang Feng know? There are many, many things that I know, Wang Feng said seriously. I can tell you one by one. Hearing this, Qianrenxue's expression changed as expected. Has he really been looking for me all this time? Wang Fengxin felt lucky. Previously, when he was looking for the well of reincarnation in the Dark Demon Realm, Wang Feng learned a lot about Tian Xiu Wang through angel foam and the souls of several other angels. Basically, he knew most of Qianrenxue's experience in the Angel Nebula. Otherwise, Wang Feng felt that he might be in a daze now. Even if Shiyu told him that Qianrenxue went to the Angel Nebula, Shiyu would not know what exactly happened to Qianrenxue in the Angel Nebula. After saying those words, Wang Feng began to narrate the things that he had learned. You reincarnated as an angel in the Angel Nebula, and then followed Holy Kaisha to fight in the universe for thousands of years. Later, because of different beliefs, you left the Angel Nebula and traveled the universe. Along the way, we passed by many planets and slaughtered countless demons. It was all in preparation for you to establish the Light-Dark Cosmic Alliance and the Dark Order. Wang Feng said, Later on, the Angel Nebula changed greatly. You returned to the Angel Nebula and defeated Hua Yi, the leader of the old order of the Celestial Palace. You regained control of the Angel Nebula and established the Dark Order, which led to great changes in the Angel Nebula. As Wang Feng spoke, Qianrenxue was touched at first, but then he was shocked. Wasn't he a little too detailed? Even if the Dark Demon Realm had been at war with the Angel Nebula, the Dark Demon Realm would not know him that well, because his personal guards had all died in the war. It was impossible to know many things. For example, he knew all the planets that he had visited during his travels in the universe. However, there are some things that I'm not too sure about. Wang Feng saw a flash of surprise in Qianrenxue's eyes and said, For example, how did Holy Kaisha die? After you established the Dark Order, how did you settle down the angels who originally believed in the Order of Justice? How could you possibly know about these things? Qianrenxue thought to himself. These were the secrets of the Angel Nebula. If he even knew this, it would be too abnormal. Unless he had infiltrated the Angel Nebula. I'll tell you, Wang Feng said. I did look for you. Qianrenxue hummed in a low voice and felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. But you. Wang Feng's tone changed. Back then, you left without saying a word. You didn't leave any message. Do you know how I've survived all these years? How much do you know about my experiences all these years? Qianrenxue was stunned and suddenly stopped talking. She lowered her head and looked a little guilty. Back then, because her views were different from her mother's, she was arrogant and didn't want to be a weak woman, so she resolutely left the divine realm and wanted to become a stronger existence. Later, in the Angel Nebula, she suffered the pain of longing, but in order to become stronger, she never returned to the divine realm. To be precise, she couldn't go back at all because she wasn't strong enough. It was not easy to travel back and forth between two completely different universes. Moreover, she couldn't find the location. Later, because the Dark Demon Realm attacked the blue planet of their universe through a wormhole, she was able to locate the Dark Demon Realm and find the universe coordinates of the Douluo Divine Realm. After the war ended, she couldn't wait to come back. Indeed, speaking of which, what happened to him all these years? She really didn't know. But I've been thinking about you. Qian Rinxue's face turned red and her voice became lower and lower. When Wang Feng heard that, he knew that her anger had subsided. However, he was going to take the initiative now. Who knows? Wang Feng shrugged. I heard that in the Angel Nebula, an angel will only protect one person for life. No. Qian Rinxue shook her head. I don't believe it, Wang Feng said. Qian Rinxue vaguely felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't say anything. She could only look at Wang Feng helplessly and say, I used your name as my name when I walked in the Angel Nebula. How could he possibly believe in justice and order? Wang Feng replied indifferently and said leisurely, Then, you really don't know anything about my experience all these years. Sigh. His gaze was no longer looking at Qian Rinxue, but at the distant sky, looking very sad. You. Qian Rinxue glared at Wang Feng and snorted, Then what do you want? Wang Feng thought for a moment, looked at the throne, and then at Qian Rinxue and said, You take the initiative to kiss me, and I will choose to lose my memory. Qian Rinxue thought for a moment and nodded gently. Just as she was about to respond, Bibidan's voice came from afar. My good daughter has been coaxed by him with just a few words. She can't tell north from south. He knows about your experience because the angels who died in the Angel Nebula are all in the Dark Demon Realm's soul territory. His soul entered the soul territory and had a great adventure. 99% of the time, he met the souls of your dead angels in the soul territory and found out about it without much effort. Do you really think that he will spend a lot of time looking for you? This faint voice made Wang Fengxin's heart jump. How can you undermine me like this? This is too much. Wang Feng's face darkened as he looked at Bibi Dong in the distance, trying to signal him with his eyes. Bibi Dong acted as if he didn't see it and continued talking. Qian Rinxue's face suddenly froze. Before his lips touched Wang Feng, his whole body stiffened. As for his experience all these years, TSK, is there still a need to say? Bibi Dong sneered. After coming out from the Divine Mountain, he didn't come to the God Realm immediately. Instead, he stayed in the Douluo world for a long time with the euphemistic excuse of wanting to simply take a look at the Douluo world 10,000 years later. Then, in order to fulfill his promise to a certain woman, he even spent a lot of time and effort to create a soul contractor and spread it across the continent, causing the current Douluo world to undergo tremendous changes. At the same time, he also stole the hearts of a few little girls who could call him their ancestor. Then, he pretended to be heartless and ran to the God Realm. He even stole the silver dragon from the God Realm. This silver dragon was sleeping in the Star Do forest of the Douluo continent at that time. As for him, he just happened to be sealed in the Star Do forest for 10,000 years. Tell me, in these 10,000 years, did he still have the heart to think about you? He even ran to the Dark Demon Realm to look for him. All of this has nothing to do with you. He just casually asked about you, and he just happened to hear it all. Chapter 1698. The air was very quiet. Wang Feng was speechless. That was a little too ruthless. No, the strange jealousy had caught Wang Feng off guard. This was a bottle of aged vinegar that had been sealed for 10,000 years. Usually, Wang Feng didn't smell it. He didn't expect that this guy would explode as soon as he left. Oh no. Wang Feng looked at Qianrenxue. Sure enough, Qianrenshue's face was very ugly, as if it had returned to its previous state. No, it was even colder than before. Wang Fengxin said. Damn, fortunately, they didn't know that he, Yan Qingjue, Shiyu, and Yan Mengyao had cultivated the yin-yang intersection origin with their subsouls. If they knew this, the quality of their happy life in the future would be greatly reduced. What she said is true, right? Qianrenshu stared at Wang Feng and said coldly. Yes. Wang Feng said bluntly. Leniency to those who confess. You! Qianrenshu looked at Wang Feng with a frosty face. He admitted it just like that? Over the years, although she didn't know what Wang Feng was thinking, she missed him all the time. That was true. It was just that she was holding back her anger. But now, so what if it's true? Wang Feng said confidently, this can't change at all. I have never forgotten a single strand of your hair. Is it wrong for me to fulfill my promise to others? No, right? This is an excellent quality of a person. As for stealing the hearts of other girls, it's not my fault at all. I've never thought about it. But I can't help it. Maybe I'm too good, and those girls are unknowingly attracted to my charm. What can I do about it? I can't help it. I've been cold enough to them. As for the silver dragon, at first, it was mainly a companion. Later, due to some coincidences, I can't help it. Bibidon and Qianrenshu listened to Wang Feng's self-righteous words. They were stunned for a long time. Then they spat in unison. Why are you still so shameless? Bibidon was so angry that he laughed. Qianrenshu was also infuriated by Wang Feng's shameless words. It had probably been thousands of years since he last heard such words from Wang Feng. But for some reason, these words made her feel a sense of familiarity. This feeling made Qianrenshu think that he was possessed. Everyone fell silent for a moment. When Wang Feng saw this, he immediately knew, look, frankly speaking, look, my anger is gone again. Although Qianrenshu did not say anything, Wang Feng could clearly sense that he was no longer angry. As for Bibidon, there was no such thing in the first place. Wang Feng knew that she was trying to annoy Qianrenshu. She didn't want him to be able to coax Qianrenshu so easily. Was it because Qianrenshu was her daughter, or was it because Qianrenshu was her rival in love? She probably knew that she knew about it. Alright, stop fooling around. I have something important to do. Wang Feng coughed twice and said. Bibidon turned sideways. She knew what it was. She knew about the origin tribulation deity king. She just didn't know about Yan Qingjue. What is it? Qianrenshu was silent for a moment, then asked, Can I help you? You can help me. Wang Feng nodded. And only you can help me. Qianrenshu was stunned. What was it? Was it that important? Only she could help him? But that was good too. Although she felt that something was wrong, Qianrenshu still felt a little sweet when she heard Wang Feng's words. Do you still remember what happened in the angel's illusion? Wang Feng said. Qianrenshu's body trembled slightly, as if she had remembered the past. Her cheeks flushed again. Yes, what's wrong? When I was in the angel's illusion, I also met the angel deity who inherited your deity position. Wang Feng didn't mention that the angel deity was Shiyu. I know. Qianrenshu nodded. What about the origin tribulation deity king? Do you know? Of course, I stayed in the god realm for a while. Didn't you seal yourself for 10,000 years and say that you want to inherit the origin tribulation deity king's power? Wang Feng thought for a moment. I am now one step away from inheriting the origin tribulation deity king's power. Only you can help me with this step. What is it? As long as I can do it. Qianrenshu nodded seriously. You should know that the angel deity is one of the origin tribulation deity king's powers, right? Wang Feng muttered. You have the origin of the origin tribulation deity king in your body, the angel source core. You need what? You need to fuse the angel source core in your body with the 7 origins I inherited through intercourse. Intercourse? Qian Rinxue was stunned for a while. She stared blankly at Wang Feng. It was as if her brain was thinking about the meaning of those 2 words. It was still okay in the Douluo world, but in the Angel Nebula, after thousands of years of abstinence, she had long forgotten about that stuff. Yes. Wang Feng nodded. It's a very pure kind of intercourse. Qian Rinxue's face turned red and white. She shouted, "Do you think I am a 3-year-old child?" After saying that, she fell silent. Wang Fengxin said, "It was very pure." He was now cultivating the yin-yang intersection origin, so he could cultivate it together with Qian Rinxue. He didn't even need to do that to draw out her angel source core. Wang Feng said this in advance because he wanted to make preparations. If Qian Rinxue couldn't accept it for the time being, then he would directly use the yin-yang intersection origin. If she could accept it, then it would be great. Wang Feng didn't want to force her. Speaking of which, before the God War, their relationship had already been formed naturally. All these years, Wang Feng's feelings for Qian Rinxue naturally wouldn't disappear. Similarly, not only did Qian Rinxue's feelings for him not disappear, but they might be deeper than Wang Feng imagined. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any estrangement when they met after such a long time. Perhaps there was a little bit at the beginning, but it quickly disappeared under his flowery words. "It's okay. If you are still angry, then forget it for the time being." Wang Feng thought for a moment. Because the 3 souls were about to merge, if he directly obtained the origin calamity godly king's universal will, then he would most likely become a universe-level lifeform. Even if he was still a little lacking, as long as he had the universal will, then becoming a universe-level lifeform would be a certainty. Now that Mo Tiance was definitely recuperating, it was impossible to plot against him again. Anyway, there was still time. At the same time, he could retreat in order to advance. Qian Rinxue opened her mouth, a rare trace of shyness flashed in her eyes. She was about to speak. At this moment, a light wall suddenly appeared in midair. Yan Mingyao's figure flew out lightly, looked at Wang Feng and said with a smile, "Huh? The fight is over. Master, I still don't understand the yin-yang intersection origin. Do you want to cultivate with me again?" Then, Yan Mengyao looked at the shy Qian Rinxue who was sticking close to Wang Feng and thought, "Oh, it seems like I came at the wrong time. Yin-yang intersection origin?" Qian Rinxue's expression began to change rapidly. "The name doesn't sound right? Wang Feng, how many things are you hiding from me, us? What is the yin-yang intersection origin?" Qian Rinxue asked loudly. "Who else did you cultivate with?" Wang Feng. In the distance, Bibi Dong looked at Wang Feng with a faint smile on her face. She didn't know about this matter. Chapter 1699. Wang Feng glared at Yan Mengyao. Why is she stirring up trouble now? Clearly, she did it on purpose. Furthermore, Wang Feng suspected that Yan Mengyao didn't take the initiative, but was instructed by someone else. What happened in Douluo world couldn't be hidden from the God realm. It couldn't be hidden from Shi Yu, the embodiment of the God realm's heavenly Tao. Thinking about it this way, Yan Mengyao was most likely instructed by Yan Qingjue, and Yan Qingjue wouldn't cause trouble for no reason. The only possibility was that Shi Yu asked Yan Qingjue to instruct Yan Mengyao to suddenly run over and say something like that. She was fanning the flames. "It doesn't matter who I cultivate with." Wang Feng changed the topic. "It's a kind of origin energy that requires both parties to cultivate together. It helps my soul to become the soul of the initial wheel, and at the same time, it can restore some of the incomplete energy." Qian Rinxue responded with an "oh," obviously not believing him. She wanted to ask why he didn't choose to cultivate with us, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Furthermore, if you don't cultivate, you can't defeat Mo Tiance. Wang Feng explained again. His reasoning was still somewhat credible. Yan Mengyao giggled at the side as if she was watching a show. Seeing that Qian Rinxue didn't say anything, Wang Feng guessed that Qian Rinxue wouldn't agree to it for the time being. Why don't I return to Angel Nebula with you? You should want to go back and take a look, right? Wang Feng said, after all, you've been in that world for thousands of years. You'll live much longer than in Douluo world. Actually, Qian Rinxue was more like a king now, the heaven cultivation king of Angel Nebula. Her sense of belonging to Angel Nebula was even stronger than the God realm. Thousands of years was enough for her to adapt to any place and develop a sense of familiarity. No. Qian Rinxue snorted. Angel Nebula is full of female angels. What do you want to do if you go back with me? Why aren't the girls around you enough? Wang Feng. Wang Feng felt that he really didn't think in that direction. Do I really look like an LSP to you? Wang Feng felt that if he wanted to, it would be easy for him to change girls every day. With his current strength and charm, as long as it was a female, she wouldn't be able to resist him. I'm angry when you say that. Wang Feng said unhappily, with you, the Angel Nebula's heaven cultivation monarch, do you think the other angels in the Angel Nebula can still enter my eyes? Qian Rinxue was secretly pleased when he heard this, but then he thought for a moment and said, what if there really is one? Really? Wang Feng was stunned. He pretended to think for a moment, then, I can think about it, you. Qian Rinxue glared at Wang Feng with anger in his eyes. In fact, she was not afraid that Wang Feng would go to the Angel Nebula to seduce the angels. Instead, he was worried that if Wang Feng went there, many angels would be distracted by him. I refuse to do that. I don't want to give you the angel source core, Qian Rinxue said as he turned around. As for Mo Tiance, you will have to think of a way to deal with him yourself. Then I'll just find someone else, Wang Feng said with a sigh. There will always be a way. Don't you dare. Qian Rinxue turned around immediately, looking even more embarrassed. However, when she saw the smile in Wang Feng's eyes, she knew that this bastard was obviously teasing her. Qian Rinxue sighed faintly. Talk to me, Qian Rinxue said softly. Talk to me about what happened to you in the past few years. Otherwise, I'll always feel that it's unreal. Wang Fengxin said. How could I forget about this? We should talk about it. He glanced at Bibidon. Bibidon didn't say anything. Let's go to the ancestral realm, Wang Feng said. That realm has just been born, and it's very beautiful now. Qian Rinxue nodded in agreement. Yan Mengyao immediately moved aside and watched as Qian Rinxue sat on the throne and flew into the ancestral realm again. After the two of them left, Yi Zichen looked at them with a smile. Bibidon looked at Yan Mengyao and said, who else did he cultivate that yin-yang intersection origin with? Yan Mengyao thought for a moment. This matriarch's status was different, so it didn't matter. Yama and Shi Yu of the God realm. Shi Yu. Bibidon frowned slightly as if it was the first time he heard this name. Shi Yu was the embodiment of the God realm's heavenly axiom. Unlike Yan Qingjue, she almost never showed her face in the God realm. She was very Buddhist. Her status is the same as Yama in the dark demon realm, Yan Mengyao replied. Bibidon's eyes flashed. That seemed to be really different. Yama was in charge of the dark demon realm on the surface, but Bibidon knew that her identity should be more special and mysterious. And it was obvious that she had a very close relationship with Wang Feng. Especially after Wang Feng self-destructed. His soul should have gone to find the reincarnation well and had a fortuitous encounter. This definitely had something to do with Yama, who was also in the reincarnation well. What is the yin-yang intersection origin? Bibidon asked again. It's a special kind of origin that requires both parties to cultivate together to improve their souls. The yin and yang souls that are cultivated can slightly touch a higher level of power. In other words, the will of the universe. That's all I know. Then, to cultivate this kind of origin, Does it require the souls of both parties to mate? Bibidon managed to ask this question calmly. Hee. Yan Mengyao laughed. No need. We don't even need to touch each other. It only requires the soul power of both parties to merge. Bibidon made an "oh" sound and said, You didn't come out unintentionally just now, did you? Who instructed you to do so? Yan Mengyao made an "oh" sound. This mistress was indeed very smart. Or rather, she was very familiar with the ways of women. Yan Mengyao didn't say anything. Even if you don't say it, I know, Bibidon said. It's that she-you from the God realm, right? I know the Yen Lord well. Why? Could it be that after cultivating this kind of origin energy, she has taken Wang Feng as her man? When she said this, Bibidon's face showed an expression that Yan Mengyao couldn't understand. That I don't know either, Yan Mengyao said. What about you? Bibidon looked at her. Me? Yan Mengyao thought for a moment. He's my master. It's that simple. The purpose of my existence is to help him rebuild the ancestral realm. Bibidong couldn't help but smile. She looked at the sky as if she could see the distant God realm. God realm, sea of reincarnation. This isn't like you. The black color in the golden sea had completely disappeared. Yan Qingjue and Shi Yu sat cross-legged on the calm surface of the sea. The one who spoke was Yan Qingjue. How is it not like me? Shi Yu said indifferently. Yan Qingjue glanced at her. With your personality, you don't seem like the kind of person who would engage in some kind of struggle with them. What, could it be that you've developed some subtle feelings for Wang Feng? You've cultivated both yin and yang souls. More or less, you have some feelings. Shi Yu didn't seem to have any intention of hiding it. I'm the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. Theoretically speaking, I don't belong to karma and have no feelings. Basically, I can't develop feelings. No. Yan Qingjue shook her head. That's when you don't have a physical body. But you have the complete will of the heavenly embryo and have already forged a physical body. With a physical body, it means that you're already in the midst of karma. You have feelings and you have feelings. This is the biggest difference between you and me. Moreover, you used your will of the heavenly embryo to create a physical body for him. This means that the two of you have the same origin. No matter how unfamiliar you are, there will be some kind of connection between you. Over time, you'll develop feelings. Shi Yu was silent. She didn't refute. Chapter 1700. For him to have reached this step, we can be considered to have succeeded. Shi Yu stood up and looked at the sparkling reincarnation ocean. Next, we'll have to see if he can rebuild the ancestral realm before the calamity. So, you're going to retreat? Yan Qingjue laughed. Then why did you ask me to instruct Mengyao to cause trouble? If Mengyao didn't go out, Qian Renshue wouldn't have rejected. Now that you're going out and saying those words, he'll definitely reject you. You know, he's only one step away from inheriting origin tribulation, godly king. Shi Yu glanced at her. Of course, I won't retreat. Shi Yu shook her head. From the moment we chose to cultivate yin-yang dual cultivation origins with him, it's impossible to retreat. In the future, the survival of the God realm would be tied to him. I just don't want him to inherit origin tribulation godly king so quickly. Oh? Why? Yan Qingjue asked. Shi Yu definitely knew more about origin tribulation godly king than her. Because... Shi Yu was silent for a while before saying faintly, Origin tribulation godly king's universal will is the emotionless will. Inheriting this will may cause him to sever all emotions and only have a pure purpose in his heart. The only thing in his heart will not be swayed by any emotions. Origin tribulation godly king's only will was to rebuild the wilderness. He comprehended the 7 origins and based on the other origins, he comprehended this universal will. I just hope that I can rebuild the primordial world in my lifetime. He is a great being with lofty ideals in his heart. I admire him, but I don't want him to be the one who cultivates yin-yang dual soul with me. Yan Qingjue took a deep breath. She wasn't sure what universal will the origin tribulation godly king had. Moreover, this is indeed a very special universal will. Shiyu whispered. It's also very powerful. It's not like Mo Tiant's galaxy will, which can suppress the endless world directly. Once this will is obtained, one's strength will be hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times stronger than before. It'll be strong enough to ignore any pressure from other universal wills. Yan Qingjue closed her eyes. As Shiyu said, it was impossible to say that she didn't have any feelings for Wang Feng. But back then, she had told Wang Feng that her feelings towards Wang Feng were indeed the same as how a human soul contract master treated a soul contract beast. Slowly nurture and nurture them. As a system, she witnessed Wang's to put him under pressure and put him in dangerous situations to challenge him to surpass himself. For example, the soul contract masters in the Douluo world would slowly nurture their soul contract beasts and watch them become stronger step by step. However, if one day, Wang Feng lost his emotions like the tribulation origin God King, Yan Qingju felt that she couldn't accept it either. In the end, he is not the origin tribulation God King. After some thought, Yan Qingjue said, he might not become another origin tribulation God King. He is Wang Feng. Your worries are reasonable, but I feel that he might not be the same as what we think. Shiyu didn't say anything. She just quietly looked at the sea of reincarnation, which reflected the faces of all living beings. At this moment, Wang Feng, who was traveling with Qianrenxue in the ancestral realm, did not know about this. He didn't know what origin tribulation divine king's universal will was. His thoughts were simple. With a complete universal will, it was inevitable for him to become a universal life form. He would be able to take a big step forward. Ancestral realm. This world is indeed beautiful. 100 meters up in the sky. The continuous mountain range rose and fell like a swimming dragon. The horizon was suffused with multicolored light, and immortal energy lingered between the mountains. In the distance, there was a large river with a majestic aura surrounding it. Countless rare and precious herbs were hidden in every corner of the earth, waiting to mature and bloom. But there's no life. Qianrenxue said after some thought. We can create one. Wang Feng continued. Qianrenxue. Who wants to create one with you? Qianrenxue was a little embarrassed and angry. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment before he explained, no, when I said create one, I meant create one with life energy, not that kind of thing. With your current strength, creating life isn't difficult. Similarly, it's easy for me. Creating life was something even God Kings could do easily. But the prerequisite was what kind of life was created. For example, those mortal beings could be created with a flick of the finger. But if one wanted to create powerful innate life forms in the ancestral realm, they would need a special life source. So, I misunderstood you? Qianrenxue glared at him. You didn't misunderstand me? Wang Feng was speechless. As he spoke, Wang Feng suddenly looked around. Then, his eyes lit up. Look at a place. Wang Feng pointed at a place. It was a cave that appeared in the middle of the undulating mountain forest. It was neither big nor small. What are you looking at? Qianrenxue didn't understand. Doesn't that cave look like the cave where the 30,000-year soul beast we met in the Great Star Do Forest spent the night? Wang Feng asked. Qianrenxue was enlightened. Memories flooded in like a tide. For a moment it was hard to describe the feelings in his heart. That night I had such a good opportunity, but I didn't do anything to you. Wang Feng said with a serious face. So, I'm actually a very serious person. Not as much as you think. It's not just to inherit the power of the origin tribulation God King. Qianrenxue was silent for a moment, then said, Okay, what kind of life do you want to create? Wang Feng pondered for a moment. The ancestral realm was actually very special. But a newborn world without any power to support it, it would be a waste of such a powerful world if it was left alone. Innate life forms needed to be created, and laws needed to be constructed for this world. More importantly, a powerful civilization needed to be born in this world, and the seeds of Tao needed to be spread in this world. And all of this required a living being. Do you like boys or girls? Wang Feng asked. Or, not people are fine too. Flowers, plants, trees, stones, or springs are fine too. Qian Renxue blushed slightly. He felt that this was a little sensitive. She thought for a moment, then said, "Flowers." "What kind of flowers?" After Wang Feng finished speaking, he glanced at Qian Renxue. "Pure, right? Angels symbolize purity and beauty. Let's create a flower that symbolizes purity and beauty." "No." Qian Renxue shook his head. "Just an ordinary flower will do. It doesn't need to symbolize life." Wang Feng was a little surprised. He didn't know what Qian Renxue meant, but he still nodded. The two landed in the forest. Qian Renxue casually pointed at a wild flower on the ground and said, "An ordinary one like this will do. But this kind of flower only has one chance to bloom. It will bloom for the life forms that can appreciate its beauty. That will be the most beautiful time of her life, and she will have the most power. After that, she will wither." Wang Feng was speechless. That's too cultured. He didn't expect Qian Renxue to be so cultured. "No problem," Wang Feng said, "but the innate life forms we create will definitely be powerful. They may even have the chance to reach the highest level of the world. You must know this. If you want to be like an ordinary wild flower, we can create one in a snap of our fingers." "I know." Qian Renxue nodded slightly. His eyes wandered. Chapter 1701. Wang Feng had actually sensed Qian Renxue's thoughts. She wanted to create such words because she was worried. Qian Renxue opened her palm. As a breeze blew past, her blonde hair fluttered slightly. A speck of light that looked like sand condensed in her palm. Wang Feng placed his palm on top of hers and condensed another speck of light. The energy of life converged in it. It seemed to be able to convey the thoughts of both parties. "When I was on the Divine Mountain, every few hundred years, you would come down one after another to talk to me," Wang Feng suddenly said. "But later, you never appeared. At that time, I knew that you must have left. Also, it was definitely not because you had a conflict with your mother. I think that, given your pride, you would definitely not want to stay in the God realm after you go there. After all, the upper limit of the God realm is visible." "You are such a strong person." Wang Feng sighed softly. "You are stronger than your mother. But in fact, when you were in the Douluo world, you told me that you didn't like being controlled by others. It wasn't just about being strong. You didn't want to be controlled by me. Perhaps you felt that there was such a relationship between us. The reason you didn't want to do that with me wasn't actually because of that. Instead, you were worried. If you gave me the angelic source core in your body, would you become an ordinary angel? Because you knew that when you were reincarnated as an angel in the Angel Nebula, the power of the Angel God would still be there to make you stronger in the Angel Nebula." Qian Renxue pursed her lips and didn't say anything. "Also, what you were more concerned about wasn't that you couldn't accept becoming an ordinary angel. It was that you couldn't accept that becoming an ordinary angel wouldn't be of any help to me. You felt that the only use would probably be to please me by my side. That was the most unacceptable thing for you. You wanted to create this kind of flower to be a metaphor for yourself. Isn't that right?" Wang Feng looked at Qian Renxue and asked. The angelic source core in Qian Renxue's body was different from the half of the pop tear that Wang Feng had given Zhu Zhuqing. The angel origin core was the source of the origin calamity divine kings split into two divine kings. Once it was lost, the Qianrenxue would lose its source of power. However, due to the tempering she had undergone in the Angel Nebula, there wouldn't be any obvious changes if she lost her angelic source core in a short period of time. However, as time passed, his strength would definitely slowly decline. She had worked so hard to cultivate for so long, but it was all for naught. Moreover, this wasn't something she couldn't accept. What she couldn't accept was that she had become weak. If she stayed by Wang Feng's side, wouldn't she become a vassal who only knew how to act coquettishly to please him? So what if I am? Qianrenxue's hand trembled. The two palms faced each other. Two grains of origin energy that looked like sand and dust intersected with each other. Under the control of the Qianrenxue, the two grains of origin energy gradually turned into a strange flower bud. It seemed to be nurturing something. Wang Feng opened his mouth and was about to speak. Qianrenxue beat him to it. You might say that your feelings for me won't change at all. I'm still Qianrenxue. Yes, there won't be any changes in a short period of time. However, what about as time passes? I'll become weaker and you'll become stronger. The gap between us will widen. Won't our feelings change? Wang Feng, you're not a loyal man. You have feelings for many girls. Moreover, no matter how loyal a person is, the greater the gap between the two of them, the final result will be indifference and separation. Time is the greatest enemy of all life in the universe. No matter how strong a life form is, it can't withstand the decay of time. You can transcend time, but I can't. Without an angelic source core, I can't even achieve immortality. Even in the Angel Nebula, I'll quickly decline. The genetic code that we study in the Angel Nebula can only achieve relative immortality. However, time in the universe is declining. I can give you an angelic source core, but can you, who can transcend the river of time, be immortal with me? Even if you can, reality won't let you do it. The more Qianrenxue spoke, the more excited she became. With her current strength that surpassed Holy Kaisha, she was already the most powerful existence in the universe where the Angel Nebula was located. However, Wang Feng knew that there were differences in the universe. The universe where Qianrenxue was located belonged to the low-element universe. The low-element universe only had a history of 10 billion years. Element was another name for the origin wheel. Element itself was also the meaning of origin, which meant that the low-element universe had yet to experience the origin wheel tribulation. This was because the level of life in the universe had yet to reach the level of a universe-level life form that could transcend the river of time. Therefore, it was impossible to trigger the origin wheel tribulation in the universe. In this kind of universe, there was only one river of time and one historical line. Therefore, time was declining. The strongest life forms in the universe, such as Holy Kaisha and Qianrenxue, could achieve immortality relative to the river of time. Unfortunately, the decline of the universe was irreversible. Once another universe-level life form cut off the river of time in their universe. Then, the universe where Qianrenxue was located would face the collapse of the universe. She would not be able to escape, and the final outcome would be death. In addition to the low-element universe, there was also the mid-element universe, the high-element universe. The multiverse had countless rivers of time and endless historical lines. Even if a river of time disappeared, the universe would not be destroyed. A considerable number of universe-level life forms had been born inside it. In theory, one could truly achieve immortality. Moreover, once Qianrenxue lost the angel source core, it meant that the upper limit of her growth might be strangled. Wang Feng was silent. He could not answer Qianrenxue. Qianrenxue had basically said everything she wanted to say. Wang Feng had not expected that the angel source core, which he had thought would be easy to obtain, would actually cause such problems. Perhaps I subconsciously regarded Qianrenxue as my possession. I thought that there was no reason for her to not give me something that belongs to her. Wang Fengxin sighed. Or perhaps I thought that our previous relationship would not have these problems. However, in reality, Qian Renxue was not a tool. What if I really asked you for it? Wang Feng asked. Would you give me the angel source core? Qian Renxue was silent for a moment. She nodded and said in a low voice, I will give it to you. Then I don't want it, Wang Feng said softly. This flower is going to be good. Have you thought of a name? Snow epiphyllum, Qian Renxue said. Along with the life energy in their hands, the balls of light in their hands slowly dripped onto the ground like flower bud. After a short while, they struggled slightly from the soil and a tender shoot sprang out. Then, they quickly absorbed the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. This flower needs a lot of divine power to nurture. It is not enough to rely on the energy of this world. The ancestral realm had not been born for long. It was too immature. Moreover, the ancestral realm was not like the primeval world of the past. After its creation, countless innate treasures and innate life forms were born. Chapter 1702. This was just a seed left behind by the ancient world, nurturing some true meaning. In fact, it still needed the latecomers to slowly develop this world with infinite potential. Otherwise, with the strength of the origin tribulation godly king, wouldn't it be too easy to nurture a world? This world was equivalent to a blank sheet of paper. It was up to the latecomers to draw a peerless painting on this blank sheet of paper. Qian Renxue nodded and didn't say anything. After the conversation just now, Wang Feng felt that there was something subtle between him and Qian Renxue. In fact, the solution was very simple. It was to let Qian Renxue have the possibility of becoming a universal life form. It was simple to say, to become a universal life form, one must have the will of the universe. It didn't matter if one could comprehend it on their own or find it, one must have it. But it wasn't so easy to get it. Wang Feng told Qian Renxue about his experiences over the years. No matter how big or small, basically everything that could be said was clear. He didn't have any secrets on him now. He even told Qian Renxue about the origin tribulation godly king's plan and the cause and effect behind his transmigration to the Douluo world. You can be where you are today. So, most of it is because of Yan Qingjue from the Dark Demon Realm? After listening, Qian Renxue seemed to have returned to his previous state. Then this Yan Qingjue is very important to you? Let's make a deal. Wang Feng pondered. We each take what we need, she may have some secrets. But to me, it's not important. Besides Yan Qingjue, Xia from the God Realm is the same. Our relationship is more of a deal. There's not much emotion mixed in. Qian Renxue had a look of disbelief. That Xia, is she beautiful? Qian Renxue asked. This. Wang Feng thought and said, that kind of beauty? Is it in my heart or not? Is there a difference? Yes. Wang Feng said, in my heart she is very beautiful, but not as beautiful as you. Not in my heart, she is indeed more beautiful. Sweet words. Qian Renxue pushed Wang Feng. What's wrong with flirting with the woman you like? Wang Feng said. Qian Renxue snorted and said nothing. The ancestral realm had a great view, and Qian Renxue's throne had everything under her. What a pity! Wang Feng looked at the undulating mountains of the ancestral realm. There's no vitality here. It lacks a strong world origin, so it can't nurture any supreme treasures. However, this world is so big, and its upper limit is very high. The origin tribulation godly king's dream is to rebuild the great desolate Aeon. Anyway, you can't inherit his power now, and you don't have to bear this dream. Isn't that better for you? Qian Renxue said in a strange tone. You're right. Wang Feng thought for a moment. But if it weren't for God King origin tribulation, I wouldn't be where I am now. Moreover, I also have a kind of expectation for this world. I might be able to think of a way to rebuild the primordial world. Tell me about it. Qian Rinxue narrowed his eyes. If you can surprise me, I might change my mind. Wang Feng nodded. The ancestral realm was actually lacking. It had the world origin as its foundation, the godly power of laws as fertilizer, and time as its soil. If Wang Feng was alone, even if he became a universe-level life form, it would take an unimaginable amount of time to develop the ancestral realm. It wasn't difficult to simply set the rules for this world. However, it was difficult to make this world grow quickly. Without an endless supply of fertilizer, it was impossible to nourish this newborn world. Now that it had just been opened, the spirit qi of heaven and earth seemed rich, but the ancestral realm didn't have the world origin. As the heavenly Tao, Yen Mengyao was too weak. Perhaps even before life was born, the world would begin to enter the age of chaos, where the spirit qi was exhausted, and then become an ordinary small world. It would be a waste of this vast and boundless area. Thinking about how strong the primordial world was, it gave birth to so many powerful universe-level life forms, it transcended the universe's reincarnation and time. To recreate the glory of that time was like a moat. What I'm thinking is to obtain the godly power of laws from other worlds and inject it into this world. Wang Feng said simply. The small world is endless, but the belief of life is the same. The simplest way to obtain the godly power of laws is through the belief of life and the power of will. The gods of the divine realm rely on the power of will to become strong. Similarly, to nurture this world, as long as we can find endless life forms and obtain their power of will. At the same time, as a god, it's enough to bestow some extraordinary power to the life forms of these small worlds. As long as there are enough small worlds, the power of will be endless. The ancestral realm's fertilizer is enough. After a long time, it will automatically nurture powerful life forms. Just like how we create powerful innate life forms, we also need godly power. The snow oxypetalum just now only consumed a portion of our godly power. The more powerful the innate life form, the more godly power it will consume. Qian Rinxue listened and felt that the idea was simple and effective. But how can you find so many small worlds? Qian Rinxue asked. According to the primordial world you mentioned, just relying on the universe I'm in might not be enough, even with the power of will of trillions of life forms. Moreover, our universe seems vast, but in reality, the number of life forms isn't high. Because in our universe, what we pursue is the quality of life, not the quantity. That's simple. Wang Feng smiled. Do you know about the multiverse? In the multiverse there are countless long rivers of time, and in these long rivers of time, there are countless small worlds. Among these small worlds, some I'm familiar with, and some I'm not. As long as they are weaker than me, the power I bestow upon them is enough to allow them to greatly improve and obtain the power of will of life. Do you know about the blue planet? Your universe has a blue planet. But in the middle era, high era, and even the multiverse there may be countless blue planet. Qian Rinxue held his breath slightly. In the dark demon realm, Yen Qingjue let the treasure-gathering rock chamber of commerce build the bloody graveyard. They took in many tomb dwellers, gave them power, and let them collect all kinds of resources in many small worlds. Then, this process repeated infinitely, slowly nurturing these tomb dwellers, and then letting them enter the real great world to fight. Yen Qingjue is a very intelligent person. But this method of hers, to me, is not very unusual. At this point, Wang Feng paused. He didn't say anything more. What do you want to do? Qian Rinxue's curiosity was piqued. Are you interested? Wang Feng looked at her with a smile. Yes. Qian Rinxue nodded. Have you changed your mind? Wang Feng asked. If you have, I'll continue. Qian Rinxue lowered her head. After a while, she said with a slightly red face, Didn't I say that if you really want the Angel Source Core, I'll definitely give it to you? She had given the choice to Wang Feng. However, Wang Feng obviously wouldn't be stumped. He thought for a moment, then whispered in Qian Renshue's ear, I can give up the angel source core, but I definitely want you. Qian Renshue understood Wang Feng's meaning. She clenched her fists and closed her eyes slightly. Oh, there's a chance. Wang Feng didn't say anything and moved closer. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.